Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. In today's episode, we are kicking off our 2023 SEMA build. I am super amped about this one. For those of you that have been watching the channel for a long time, you might have seen this one coming, but not a lot of you guys have guessed it. I remember last winter I was doing an episode about the fall of the Eleanor and the victory of the Shelby Trust, and I said this. I still want that daily drivable with all the modern amenities 67 Mustang Fastback. So have I went out and bought a 2019 Mustang GT? Yeah, I did. And did I go buy another 67 Mustang Fastback body? I did. And I don't know if it's gonna be next month or next year, but sometime I am gonna finally finish this build where I body swap off of the S550 Mustang chassis, pull the whole body off and put a 67 Mustang Fastback body on. But when it comes down to the styling of this car, it'll be done with licensed Shelby parts, and we'll mix in some of our own B is for Build design flair as well, and it'll be a tribute car to Carroll Shelby, a real badass dude, and have nothing to do with Eleanor. And literally the perfect opportunity to build a Shelby tribute car for SEMA came up. Now we don't have a lot of time. We got 40 days to build this thing, but that's what's happening. 2023 SEMA. With no more further ado, Oscar, if you'll move the curtain, I give you, ta-da! SEMA build. You guys, this is gonna be great. If you're new to the channel or you need a reminder, back in 2000, March of 2000, we started building a Eleanor out of a 2015 S550 Mustang GT chassis. We cut the whole body off of it. We put a 67 Fastback body onto it. We had it looking right, and then the people that own Eleanor licensing went after us and snagged the build right out from under us, and a bunch of other legal stuff happened, and it was terrible. Fast forward earlier this year, they lost the copyright claim. They no longer have copyright over Eleanor, which does not matter because we're not building one. What we're building is something, in my opinion, much better. We are building a 67 Fastback Carroll Shelby tribute car. So there's gonna be a lot of styling from his GT500 put into this car. It's gonna look like a 1967 Fastback. It's gonna look inspired by the things that Carroll Shelby did with his GT500 cars, and it's all gonna be built off of this 2019 Ford Mustang GT. And I'm more excited to kick off this build than I have been to jump into another build in a long time. We had a great opportunity. Booth popped up at SEMA. They said, Chris, you guys always build awesome cars. Do you wanna put your car in our booth? And I said, yes. And then I finished my boat, and here we are today. So let's get started. I'm gonna teach you guys, there are several people on YouTube that have done this body swap. Probably inspired by the work that we did, and I think it's great. So when we go through this, I want to teach you guys everything that we know about how to do this body swap in case you find yourself wanting to do it in the future. It is a really cool one, and technically it's not really that difficult. So let me introduce you to our 2019 Mustang GT. This one was hit right back here, toasted the wheel, debeaded the tire. Looks like a control arm is tweaked inwards. It starts, I drove it in here. I mean, I limped it in here because that wheel is totally broken. Looks like the curtain airbags all went off. The seat airbags went off. Seat airbags there are just toast. Oscar, anything else that you've noticed about this car? We really haven't touched it much since I bought it last winter. Oh, the camber's off by a lot. Oh man. It's never good when it looks like it got hit in two spots in the same wreck. Yeah, it's always a mystery too. So we got a couple control arm issues to look into in the back. Hopefully there's no frame damage. Up front, it looks really nice. Oscar, you want to pop the hood? We can show them under the hood. It's got the wonderful 5-liter Coyote engine in it. And on this go round, we've got cloth interior, which you probably already saw. And we've got a manual transmission. Yay! This car has 22,000 miles, so it's a really good candidate to build the awesome 67 Fastback daily drivable dream build that I've always had. Well, I've always dreamt of having. I haven't always had it. I've actually never had it. So there you go. Classic Mustang bodies go for like $1,000 on Craigslist. These things in the not GT configuration, I mean, Mustang owners crash Mustangs all the time. So you can get these for really cheap. So it can be a really cool, unique build done on a budget. This one, not really done on a budget though. But like I said, Mustang drivers are crashing all the time, so there's a lot of value in all of these parts. So that's the first thing we're gonna do is start taking off all the bolt-on parts. Oscar and I will go ahead and probably start here in the front end, because why not? And we'll just start racking up all these parts up there, get as many off as we can. Let's get started on the front. All right, let's talk about something that matters: comfort and durability when you're on the job. If you're like me, you don't have time to deal with boots that take a week to break in or fall apart after a couple months. And that's why today's episode is sponsored by Brunt. Best boots in the business. These right here are the next gen Marin boots from Brunt. And let me tell you, they're designed to be comfortable straight out of the box. First day I put them on, I wore them for 12 hours in the shop and my back, my legs, my feet felt great. There's no long break-in period. You put them on, you're good to go. And for some added comfort, Brunt's got this new cushioned footbed that I like to use in my boots, and it makes it extra nice, comfortable, and squishy. And not only do they feel good, but they're built to last. We're talking about double and triple stitching, barnyard resistant Texas steer leather, and slip, oil, and heat resistant soles. These boots can handle whatever you're ready to throw at them. So whether it's heat, rain, mud, they're designed to keep up. And here's the best part: they're honestly priced. You don't have to break the bank to get a great pair of boots. Plus, Brunt offers a 30-day free trial. Unheard of in this industry. You wear them to work, you really test them out, and if you don't love them, you send them back for a full refund. And shipping is covered both ways, so there's literally no risk. That is how much Brunt believes in their product. And after using them myself, I understand why. So if you're looking for a pair of boots that are great quality, that are built to last, and that are ready to rock on day one, look no further than Brunt. They've got the next gen Marin and the next gen Bulldog styles out. Click the link in the top of my description or scan that QR code on the screen, and remember that 30-day free trial when you go check these boots out. Your feet will thank you. Mustangs are weird. Hood comes off really easily, but the fenders, they're bolted in from like down there, in there, up there, in there, that way, and that way. That's like all the places. So we're gonna go ahead and get it on the quick jacks and try and lift it up. The trickiest part is gonna be every time we buy a car from auction, they may or may not have wheel locks, and these ones might or might not match a key that we have, and there might be a key in the glove box. We're gonna find out. Get this thing up on quick jacks, pop the wheels off so we can go through the fender liners and keep attacking. We got stumped on the wheel keys. We used like, I don't know, 15 different wheel keys. We don't have it. We're gonna have to get a tool from Harbor Freight. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna get the car up on quick jacks, get the doors off. The doors will lead us to the fenders. Doors off, that's easy. Now, we try to get back into the fender from this side. Doesn't matter because they're bolted to the side skirt and side skirt's bolted from that side, and we just covered it with the quick jack. Off the quick jack, side skirt's off. Hopefully we can get the side skirts off. Then we should be able to access the bottom of the fender. Then we can go on from there. Mustanging. Haha, those blasted fenders. Got them off. That is one of the hardest OEM fenders to take off that I've ever seen. Anyways, next up, we'll go ahead and take off the headlights and the front bumper. I think we're gonna have to pop this guy off first and work at everything that's underneath it. Front end is fully broken down, bumpers off, headlights are off. So now we've got some of our first loose wires, plugs that have been unplugged. Label everything, every single thing should get labeled. That way you don't get completely lost when you're going to reattach stuff. You can definitely hotwire a Ford headlight into a 67 Classic headlight. So we're gonna go ahead and work our way back here now to the trunk lid. This is the last body panel that can come off, this and the taillights. And the rear bumper. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Anyways, gotta gently fish this out because there is a reverse camera here that we want to keep and a bunch of good stuff in there. So we're going to be popping that off and then kind of dissecting all the electronics out of there. All right, we got the whole back all torn down. The trunk lid is off. We harvested the camera from that and all the other wiring, the wire harness and stuff. Also the trunk release. Taillights, those get reused. We use the internals of those to make the classics. So those have separate LED strips in them, which we'll show you in a future episode, making the new taillights out of those. Rear bumper comes off, that goes for sale. And we always keep all of the sound deadening stuff in here just in case we can use this in the trunk of the, well, what this is to become. Now, Chelsea went and did a Harbor Freight run for us, and we've got some, well, we've got the lug key now. So we're gonna go ahead and pop off these wheels. So they're off. With all the wheels removed, we can look at the extent of the crash damage, and we inspected it. It's really not that bad. Obviously, this wheel got destroyed, but then as we come down here, lower control arm right here, you can see that huge kink in it. That's what's bringing this wheel face in and messing up the camber both at the same time. That's how you adjust the camber to the wheels, that camber nut right back there. So we got a new one on the way. It's only $26 for a generic one, so it's a pretty good fix. It's kind of crazy. That was enough to salvage out this car. I mean, a lot of airbags did go off, right? So you got seat airbags, curtain airbags, a $26 control arm. On the other side, it got bumped as well, and you can see that the camber is pretty far off, but that's just because the camber bolt spun down there. So it really would have been just for whoever repaired this thing, new side curtain airbags, new seat airbags, and $50 of rear end suspension and alignment, and this thing would have not been salvaged out, but it was. And that's why I got a car with 20,000 miles for half the cost of regular, which I'm not too upset about. All right, looking good for day one of our SEMA build. We got 39 days left. I'll see you in the morning. Back for another day in paradise. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the interior, get the front seats out, just the front seats for now. We don't wanna damage them. We're not sure if we're gonna use these long-term in the build or not, but we're gonna go ahead and get them out. And then we're gonna clear up this cowl area here, get some of these plastics out, get the windshield wipers out, and get a little of this debris out of here. We made a mess with the cowl removal. We flubbed it and it flew good. Shop vac is on the way. We've still got like so many of our tools and our stuff like split between out at the boat and back here in the shop and stuff like that. So we're working on getting our stuff together. But the cowl is off. The seats are out. Those seats don't have seat heaters. So it might be time for us to ring up our sponsor, our seat sponsor, Corbo, and I don't know. I think a set of Corbo seats, I know a set of Corbo seats in here would look really good. It's a bit of a balance between when you show the modern like stock Mustang interior, it makes people when they see the build go, whoa, that's like, it's a fully swapped like new interior. But also it's like, yeah, do I want like the best seats? Like, yeah, I do. So I think I should do that. And I think I'm going to upgrade this center console infotainment center thing. That just looks cheap. Like what car? Why do they make like their premium sports car, the GT, with a freaking number pad? Who even memorizes a phone number anymore? Only good to call myself. That's the only phone number I know. You think it's to dial in the radio? Yeah. I don't think it's to punch in you think it's like to punch in a station number?
There's no way that's for like dialing phone numbers out.
Oh yeah, that's for dialing phone numbers,
yeah?
Dude. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just a dumb design. Yep.
It just seems weird.
Yeah, that's why there's a pound in the star. Those aren't radio stations. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take the windshield out. It's a fine balance on taking this car down between speed and saving parts that we can resell. This is a pretty quick one to take off, so let's go ahead and take this off. If you guys haven't seen how this is done, Oscar, can I have the tool real quick? This is a little kit that they sell down at Harbor Freight. It's between this and a little bit of wire and a couple handles like that. You use this to jam the wire through. We're gonna go right through like a nice soft spot like this. Goes right through that polyurethane rubber, and it'll get your wire on the inside. Then have one guy on the inside, one guy on the outside, and start sawing your way through the rubber all the way around. That is the best DIY way that we've found to remove windows. You will not see professionals doing it that way very often, But for DIY, this kit's like $12, and we have found it works damn well. Got the windshield out with no drama, managed to not break it. That's great. So we'll get that thing listed up for sale. We're gonna move along to the back here. We're trying to figure out, how our best strategy for cutting the roof off. That's a big part of what we're doing today. So we're gonna go ahead and cut out this rear window glass, and then we're probably gonna break these because they just don't cut out easily. So it's gonna be like remove, break, then we can cut, and then that'll get our roof off. That's kind of the rough game plan right now. So Oscar and I are going to get back to pulling the metal string. With the rear glass out, we're ready to start kind of labeling and unplugging all of the wires. So every wire that goes through the roof, before you cut it off, you want to know what it is, where it went, and get it all identified. So we'll be like labeling each wire, unplugging it from the things, sending it back down, and getting it all kind of bundled up closer to the center of the vehicle so we can go ahead and start cutting away, because all of this stuff has to go, and we want to know what every wire is in the long run in case we want to tap into it and use it for functionality with the new body. It's a little bit of a time-consuming process, but it's worth it in the long run. Okay, we got all the wiring out of the way. It's pretty safe to cut now. You can see that we've got the seat belts down and the wiring harnesses running through there. So now it's time to break these windows. We're gonna have some fun and do some tests while we do this, because science. Fire in the hole.
Really?
No.
Not strong enough.
The Red Rider is ineffective. The Tiffany green Rider, by the way. Chelsea believes that if you pull your headrest out and you wang it with this thing, that it's going to do something. I don't think it's going to do anything. And then we're hearing the corner is the spot to hit. I'm going to give it a good tap-a-roo with the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Not actually that hard. Oh, microphone was the wrong direction the whole time. I'm doing so good with the audio stuff. It's like I'm a professional. All right, Oscar, you want to try your hammer method?
So try in the middle first and then the corner.
Sure.
That was oddly easy.
Okay. All right, hammers are better than headrests.
By a long shot.
Yeah. Okay, now we can cut the roof off.
Keep a hammer in your car?
Yes, Chelsea, keep a hammer in your car to be safe. All right, back to the very serious business of removing this roof. Cut on the A pillar, cut on the B pillar, cut on the C pillar. Probably cut the roof in half so we can fit it in the dumpster. Trying out these Diablo blades, carbide bit Diablo blades on the reciprocating saw. Wish us luck. Convertible Mustang. Not that unique. They actually sell convertible Mustangs, weirdly enough. But we got the cuts made. 6 cuts. Roof is off in the dumpster. We did learn something. So we went out on a limb here, spent the extra money, and bought these saw blades. They were $17 a blade. Carbide Diablo blades. When they cut better than the Harbor Freight ones. They cut a little faster, but they didn't last any bit longer. So being that you can get like a 6-to-1, 7-to-1 ratio, not worth it, in my opinion. Don't know if our saw was just cranking a little too fast or something else, but in our actual real-world experience, did not work out very well. So on Oscar's Mustang here, we got the rear all the way torn down, so it really looked a lot more like a skateboard. Like it was kind of matching the front of this vehicle, but the rear was way, way more taken down. So the next step I think we should jump into is going to be quarter panels exterior skin. We're going to cut the exterior skin off, save them, and then we can start looking at kind of cutting the whole center section down and out and the rear end off. Check it out. Quarter panels are off. Such a cool thing to see. It is getting skeletalized. So you may have noticed that we went for the cutting method rather than the drill out method. The drill out method is what you want to do if you want to really harvest that quarter panel for a perfectly clean install. We have 2 other full sets of quarter panels in storage that were perfectly well drilled out. So if we need to do a quarter panel repair on an S550 Mustang, we can use one of those. These would be more for if you're like throwing them on a drift car and you're doing a rivet on reinstall or something like that. That's basically what these are going to be used for, since we have so many other sets. And the other way, this is just a lot faster. And at this point that we're at now, there's no exact like next move that we really know of. It's just really start cutting, making stuff skinnier, start to get rid of stuff. Basically like all of this, all of this, all of this eventually needs to all be gone. We're gonna have to take the back seats out because everything that's behind them, holding them in, that's gotta go. A lot of this has gotta go. You know, we got to really trim this thing down before we start building it back up. So Oscar and I are just gonna, you know, grab cutting tools and do what we do best. Cut a car up. Morning, everybody. Day 3. I'm feeling a little rough. Woke up at 6 a.m. this morning with bladder and kidney pain. Had to rush down to the hospital. Had a kidney stone. Spent my morning in the hospital. And the hottest update is as of 10 a.m. I peed out a rock. But we're here, and I believe that has passed me. Unless my body's decided to be like a machine gun. So we're continuing cutting this thing down to get ready for its new body. Let me show you around. I really do want this to be informative so people can follow along at home if they feel like doing a body swap project. On this section right here, there's a seam line right here. We follow that line and then we get all the way into the inner piece here right by the dash. By the way, if you are following along, you know, do this at your own risk. I'm not saying this is safe. This is just a thing. I'm not liable for any stuff you may follow of me forever. There, that'll make the lawyers happy. In perpetuity. They like that word. So next steps wise, we're going to keep working our, well, this isn't a side skirt, but the side rail, we're going to keep working that down. We're going to keep working in. We want to get at least about halfway through this piece right here as far as our horizontal cut. And also a lot of this stuff in the back has to come off, and we're going to have to shorten the trunk area in a little bit. So we're going to be like cutting back, capping the frame rail, and building new safety bars in the back there. So Oscar and I will just keep kind of cutting away at each side. I think I'm just going to get the rest of the white stuff off of there and then work my way back into this area and try and take some big swings at this stuff. Cut out a bunch of this cabin area. We decided to leave this brace back here. We're gonna see if it needs to be removed or not. We're not really sure. I think it will need to go, but we're gonna leave it for the time being. It'll be good for stability and stuff like that. We're gonna need to cut a little bit more out of here, but that's a really good first look before we start adding panels. So now we're gonna go ahead and work our way into the back. The 67 is a lot shorter from this wheel right here, that like say that axle measurement this way. 67's quite a bit shorter. So we're gonna pick like one of these lines. We're gonna lay a string line and go ahead and snap that string line and then cut just like straight across the back here, cut all that off. Back here, we've got a whole pile of wonderful Mustang Fastback parts, reproduction parts popped off the Dynacorn line. And we are gonna be trying to get these side panels on here pretty quickly. To do that, we need to finish making room on our 2019 Mustang GT. So we're gonna go ahead and start cutting into this rail. This is kind of an optional thing. You could cut chunks of this off. We're gonna go ahead and cut the whole thing off so we can rebuild it our own way. So from all the way back here, all the way forward to this hard line right here, we're gonna be removing this rail on both sides. Got that side all trimmed up and cleaned up nicely. So you can see what I meant about an integrated rail. There's a pocket there that we can build into. So we're going to be adding thicker walled steel that might be a little bit smaller diameter with less protrusion throughout that area. And we'll build it into that thing, weld it to that, and then we can also weld it to the Mustang body. The classic body. So now it is time for us to start test fitting the side panels. The side panels you're going to see us bring over, they don't really look like much of a Mustang side panel because they're not the rear quarter panel and they're not the door and they're not the fender, but they're basically everything that's behind those things. Figured out pretty quick, we got to make some serious cuts. This thing, we're going to trim it right here at the door hinge line. Also got to pocket out the back, cut that whole back out so it can overlap over this, this guy right here, gain another half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, maybe that's a whole inch, sliding that in there. And I think that's kind of placement wise where we're trying to land is like this lip goes over this lip. I think that's similar to how we've done it in the past. Learned something unfortunate about our rear support thing. That would land like pretty much right in the middle of the rear glass. So that would not look cool. So we're gonna have to go ahead and cut that out, and we'll build something new in there because that a rear support of some sort has to hold the trunk lid hinges. So we'll build something back in there. Cut a few pieces off, got another good test fit up here, a little mock fit, and learning a lot more. So this piece right here has to wrap over this piece and set inside here, which means that this has to get trimmed down, brought in like, I don't know, half an inch. This has to get cut out, that has to get trimmed out so that can like pocket in, so the other body's gonna slide in there. Trim up this a little bit, bring all that out, and then as we get closer to the back here, so this rail is gonna sit on this rail. And as we get closer to the back here, as this rises up, Oscar's gonna be cutting a lot of this out so it'll make room for the body to continue back. This piece is the most important piece to get right because it sets the body lines for absolutely everything. If you don't get it totally right and dialed in, which we found is basically flat part sitting on the flat part of the pinch weld, then your doors will be off, your hood will be off, and if you're off by like an inch, yeah, by the time you get to the front, if you're off by an inch or 2 inches, it's not gonna fit. So gotta get it all perfectly dialed in. With some cutting to the car, specifically in this area right here, we took an inch off going all the way back. Here I could show you to make room for that piece of the panel right there. So we took an inch out of that. We took the stuff out of the front that we talked about down through here. Took this side off through here. And then also coming back around to this side panel, trim this up so it can kind of clear through here and clear down there. And that gets us our side panel in. And as far as we know, as far as like where it sits height-wise and positioning-wise, to keep it level with the car, we're resting this piece on the pinch weld of the 2019 Mustang. So now you can see that we are being held off right here by the dashboard, or not the dashboard, well, this is the dashboard, but this is like where the cowl starts and the windshield frame and everything like that. So to do this conversion, you got to do some serious damage in the cowl area of the 2019, the dash area, a lot of that stuff's got to get cut out, trimmed out, skinnied up, so you can get the 67 to fit in there with it being so much more narrow, and it's sitting a little bit lower than the Mustang dash. So it's time for major surgery so we can start getting this thing to sit flat. We're going to be cutting out of here, cutting all out of there, and once we can start getting that flat, we can mock up our windshield, and that'll start getting us our width measurement. We've got the other panel all cut up, and this is what the cowl looks like after the kind of initial pass at trimming. We're gonna have to fine tune this a lot. I think we're gonna have to, oh, no, we don't usually come back on that, I don't think. But this is kind of a first pass look, and now we're gonna go ahead and test the panels and see how things go on. Oh, we got the welder out. You know, stuff's getting serious. Here's what we've been doing. We needed to be able to kind of tack things in place lightly so we could start taking measurements and looking at different dimensions and stuff. Really, a lot of this is make sure it's centered on the car, get the windshield to fit perfectly, get the back glass to fit perfectly, and you'll be off in a good start. So everything just needs to come in more. We need to scoot this in like this whole gap. It's got to come down to nothing, so that'll come out. This piece right here has got to be snugged up against this piece right here. And then we're going to have to do a lot more trimming out through here, through the windshield. This air duct is the only one that we have to sacrifice to do this project, so we're going to lose this air duct. This is going to have to get trimmed straight through there. So we're going to be trimming and also trimming off of this panel until that gets snugged up there. And then that will that'll get our side panels in place, which is a huge, huge, huge step in this project. So let's get them in place. Lot of hours of fine tuning, but we finally got these things pretty dialed in. So they are finally skinny enough. We test with the windshield glass and make sure that it's got plenty of coverage over, that's where it mounts to the vehicle right there on that strip. So we've got it skinny enough. Now we got to widen it out, and we got to make sure that both of the sides are perpendicular. They're like straight up and down the way that they need to be. They have the correct amount of tilt. The hood, not the hood, the roof can help a lot with this. So we're going to go ahead and bring in the roof into that, and then we're using, you know, bubble levels on these side panels a lot to make sure that we get these things dialed in straight up and down. And then we'll probably do a pretty official tack welding of these things in here once we get that figured out. Did it! We spent almost the entire day just trimming, checking. I think we went through almost 50 cutoff wheels, but we have made the car skinny enough now that these side panels are close enough in that the windshield fits properly in the middle of them, and we are ready to move on to the next step. So rather than doing all the fine tuning and the straightening and the squaring and everything right now, you got to step backwards, take these sides off, and prepare the sides to be having more stuff attached to them, meaning box in those frame rails that we talked about earlier. So we're going to go ahead and take the side panels off. We're going to measure our frame rails. We're going to order some steel and hit that first thing in the morning with a fresh piece of steel, boxing that in. The game plan is just a flat piece of steel connecting this C. So it's a C channel, and it had a C channel coming back at us, coming like out, down, and back in. And if we go flat on that, it'll actually make it a lot stronger than it was in the first place, and we'll use double the gauge thickness of steel that it was. And then after that, we attach this to that and that to that, and it makes it like 2 frame rails on one. It'll be nice and strong. We've got our frame rails boxed in here. You can see that steel came in. We got it all cleaned up and all boxed in and supported. So it's going to be back to having its like original level of strength. And now the side panel overlaps this high line right there with this piece overlapping right here. So we have to trim a little bit out of the bottom so the bottom can snug up against that guy right there. So off the bottom, we're taking a little shy of 4/8, also known as a 1/2 inch. So we'll take a 1/2 inch off of this, and then it's panels back onto the car, and it's back to that high precision measuring game to make sure we get these panels exactly where they belong on the car. Well, guys, it took at least a day, if not a day and a half, but we finally got these side panels on exactly where they go. So if you're referencing at home, that's the bottom of the car. That's where that side panel goes. You got to run a fat side skirt on these or else it will look a little bit silly. But we have done this before. Trust me, it'll look all right. And as far as where this thing lands, you slide it back. Just look, that's your old cowl. That's your new cowl. And there's kind of the difference in that stuff. So we're going to be cutting away at the dash to make room for the windshield to come down. We have to keep cutting. But before we do that, we need to verify essentially that everything is in the right spot. And to do that, we're gonna start throwing as many panels on this thing as we can. So you can see we got the roof in there. That helped us tell us that the body's square and all that good stuff. Now we're gonna be throwing quarter panels at it. We're probably gonna have to take the wheels off. Probably gonna have to take the wheels off, not 100% sure, because they don't fit well with the quarter panels. They're not meant to run such a big wheel and tire. So we're gonna get the quarter panels mock fit on here, some sort of a rear tail panel mock fit on here, make sure that the back is looking good and happy, and then we might even see what we can do in the front as well. It's a big game of did we get this angle right or wrong, and we got to figure that out before we fully commit to welding everything on here. What a transformation putting a couple panels on here made. That's incredible. It looks so cool. I'm so happy with how this is coming along. This is definitely the best one that we've done yet. Now, I do want to say though, that just because you see the panels coming on really fast, it's not like we've got a ton of permanent progress done. This is a lot like test fitting a body kit the first time you get it. The panels should fall on there. They're meant for the car or the car. They're meant for each other. So you can like mock them up really fast, but the final installation, actually properly installing them, does take a while. But this is all going really great. It's looking good. Things are fitting together nicely, and they're just overall fitting, which is fantastic. So we've got the quarters on, and we're feeling like they're in a good spot. We still need to test fit things like our rear glass, and then what we want to do is get a couple more panels in here. We're going to have the this rear fill panel right here that starts at the bottom of the glass. That's going to go in. Rear trunk lid, and then the rear tail lamp panel right there. Once we get all those things in, we don't have the valance right now because it forgot to order it. So I ordered one already, it's on its way. So that, when we have all those things in there fitting nicely, that's gonna tell us like the back is dialed and it's good right there. So we're gonna just test fit everything on there, mock fit it all on there and get it all snugged up right. All right, guys, we got the back placed correctly. We started looking at some of our duckbill like pieces to attach to the trunk lid and make sure that's all good. It's fitting nicely. We got that fill panel in there. With our tail panel, without the rear valance, there's really no point in bolting in our tail panel. It just wouldn't really tell us anything. And the rear bumpers are notoriously missized. We've had to cut them and resize them on both of our last builds. So we're calling that good. Basically, these are a little floppy, a little adaptable, and they'll be able to go in once that rear valance gets delivered. We'll be able to test our fit there. A lot of people, I'm gonna say this right now, a lot of people see the little panel gap right here in the rear valance, this little triangle, and think that your panel gaps are way off. You let me know, you guys out there that actually own these cars, I'm pretty positive there's supposed to be a little triangle there, but let me know. 1967 Mustang fenders are an absolute menace. They are the worst part of this whole project. To put them in the right spot, you need a body line. The body line in the back starts right there, follows through on the door, and then connects up with the fender. So we really need doors. We are missing some door latching mechanisms. It's a part that we don't have. So what we're gonna do for now is take our door hinges, we're gonna be bolting them up here, and then we'll bolt those to our door, and then we'll swing our doors shut, and then we'll just ratchet strap around the entire vehicle so the doors look like they're relatively where they should be. Like I said before, this is just a test fitting, but these are some of the best fitting doors that we've ever had, thankfully. Next up, I think we're gonna be looking at hood/fender placement, following the body lines and hood fender lines. It's really scientific, you know, just laying parts around. Guys, this is a really exciting moment for us because this fender is fitting really, really nicely. It's just rested on there, so it's at a bit of a tilt. It's fitting really nicely. It's looking really good. It's showing us a front end height that we're happy with. What I tell you what I am concerned about is hood clearance. It really, when we look at this fender here, now keep in mind, it does need to come up a little bit. Boy, does it look challenging to fit that hood on here. But let's not worry about that. We've thought that before. So let's not worry about that until it's actually a problem. So here's what we got to do to keep going forward is Oscar's going to go ahead and cut up the other fender that we got right there to make it fit. If you're following along at home, the main cuts that we did are to clear the strut tower right there. And then there was also a little bit of trimming to get it flush with the side skirt down there. And then the headlight bucket connector azoid right there. Those all got trimmed up. So Oscar's gonna be doing that over there. While he's doing that, I'm gonna be putting this on a diet. We need a lot of this space out of the front end. So front impact bar is gonna go. We're gonna have to rebuild one of those on our own. All this plastic stuff doesn't need to be here. We can't really build off of it anyways. So I wanna get rid of that. Take out the hood latch here. We're not gonna need that. And well, I guess we should keep windshield wiper. Oh, nope. We don't have the sprayers anymore. So I'll go ahead and remove that guy as well. We're gonna have to fool the sensor there so it thinks it's full and it thinks it's still there, which is not a big deal. I'll label it and we'll hotwire it later. So I'm gonna get rid of the windshield wiper setup as well. Windshield washer. All right, we got the front end a little bit decluttered here. Got a lot of stuff out of the way. that like really shortens it up a lot. And again, we will rebuild a new front impact bar. We got the other fender trimmed and put on there, and it's looking good. So now we have the hood. Hood's incoming. We got to try and make space for the hood to rest it on here, and the hood is going to help us set our width from the inside of the right fender to the inside of the left fender. Once we know that width, then we can start building some temporary mounts to get the fenders on here in a sturdy way. Guys, I have to say we are very pleased with ourselves right now. You can see like lowness. We're good on the lowness. The front end, it looks low enough. We didn't build the car totally sideways, so the front end was like sky high. The hood does fit. It clears. It needs to be actually lifted up to meet up with the fenders, which is perfect. Super, super happy about this. So all of this work went in to basically verify that these original body panels that we put on the last episode, that these are in the right, like, at the right orientation, which means we can weld up the top seam, we can weld up the bottom seam, we can start really welding.
It's about at this point when your boy ended up getting real sick and Oscar had to ride solo. Basically what happened, Oscar and I both took a weekend to hang out with our families. I went out to New York, and I was basically just checking up on the ball. Still there, hasn't moved. And I got back and I got really, really sick during my travels, and didn't want to be around Oscar and get him sick and his whole family sick. So Oscar had to ride solo for a while and take on he's going to take on quite a bit of stuff. So what he's working on right now is the rear chassis support, because we cut out that cross member where on, say, a 2019, that would be where your rear deck would be, that your speakers would mount into and stuff like that. This one has to be a lot further back, so we wanted to fabricate something that does double duty. So it ties in and structurally supports the strut towers, but then it's also going to hold the trunk hinges in the right space. So Oscar built the cross beam where it has to be. There's really no options of where it gets to go. It's got the side supports on, and then you'll see him, he's going to go ahead and support and box all these things in. It's time to start working on the hinges. Basically just bolt the hinges to the trunk, let them sit at their natural position, then set the trunk where it needs to be, and then you can build the brackets off of that from the inside out. Next up, roll cage. Oscar's jumping into the roll cage construction. So he's done all his math. He's got all the measurements and the amount of material take up. So when you do a bend, it actually uses up a little bit of the material. So you have to calculate how much material goes into the bend so you get, say, the middle flat part to be as wide as you need it. And Oscar's got that pretty dialed. He's been using this machine for a couple years and he's gotten really good at it. So you can see the goal here is to have 2 bends on each side, not just 1 bend on each side, 2 bends on each side, and that's going to hug it really, really close to the body. It's going to allow us to lay the interior pieces over the roll cage and basically hide half of the roll cage. And he knocked out this bar first try, which is amazing. And then he's going to start working on the cross brace for the back, as well as spreader plate that work to distribute the load in the event of an accident, so your posts for your roll cage don't just punch through the flooring. So right here you can see he's taking off material, taking off paint and stuff like that, so he can weld in a spreader plate that will distribute load, and that welds directly to the roll cage. On the back brace here, Oscar did something a little bit different than we usually do, and I want to ask your guys' opinion what you think. So usually we do 2 downshoots that go straight back, and then we do an X basically like right behind where the driver would be, and we do that X. Oscar mixed the 2 things, so he's doing an X that goes down and back. I think structurally, I know some structural engineers watch. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think structurally it should be fine. We could add some downshoots as well to this, but they are going right into a good solid frame section. I think it's okay. Next, we need to modify the stock filler location from the 2019 to move it over to the 67. Now, a normal 67 comes straight out of the back of the trunk, the back fill panel there. Well, that's not going to work for this build because it wouldn't be going downhill into our fuel tank. It's got to go downhill the whole way. But luckily, you know, this is a Shelby tribute build, and Shelby developed this really cool Le Mans style cap that went up here, probably because it allowed you to fill your car a lot faster, I would guess, using the gravity to just flood all that fuel straight down into the tank, and then you could drive on. So the Le Mans style cap goes in that back quarter panel there, and what Oscar's doing is modifying the stock tubing. It's metal tubing, and he's cutting it, bending it, and tweaking it to be able to route up from the point where it would normally go sideways, out what you can see on the screen right here, and then it's going to go up and out of our rear quarter panel and out of our Le Mans style cap. And then to seal it off, we've got a screw down cap that has a nice little O-ring, so it's airtight, it's sealed off, and then there's also the standard OEM vent tubes that coming out the same area as well. On to the front end, unwelding the fenders real quick and starting to take a look at the cowl situation. So more stuff has to be cut back, more room has to be made to be able to fit the 67 cowl. Now the 67 cowl basically, well, it does come in two pieces. You got the upper piece and the lower piece. Both of them really got to go on a diet to be able to fit this body swap transformation. So you can see Oscar trimmed all the fat off of around the cowl. It's just unnecessary metal that you don't need. It covers up important things in the engine bay. Best to get rid of it. And then he's matching a piece from the bottom, and he's going to match it up, and he's adding supports in here to make sure that it's got enough rigidity and enough strength, because this place has to be able to hold the windshield and everything like that. So that's the bottom piece of the cowl right there, cutting that piece up, putting that on a diet as well, and then test fitting it in, make sure it's good, and then you can see he's actually formed it to the upper cowl piece and then welding in supports all the way across. So that's a little bit beefier of a piece than it started, which is good. And he's got that placed in there. Gonna go ahead now and just do some sheet metal work, sheet metal off everything else where we don't want any water to be able to fall down. So this all gets tack welded in here, spot welded in, and then seam sealed. That way no water can enter into the car in any place that it wasn't supposed to be able to. No air, no moisture, no steam, none of that stuff can get into the cabin because this is an entryway from the cabin. So building this steel sheet that we can weld in here and form around and weld in here and then seam seal around is really crucial. It makes it stronger, but also keeps all the weather out as well. And last but not least, we need doors, and we have door shells. Dynacorn sells reproduction door shells, and man, the quality varies drastically. Some of them are great, some of them are in terrible shape. And over the years of building these Mustangs, we have like 6 or 7 different doors sitting around the shop with different amounts of parts on the inside. And we bought a lot of new parts for the insides of these doors, the guts, but it's hard to order a full set. It's kind of an awkward situation. If you're doing something like this at home, I would recommend just junkyarding and finding a good quality complete door from a junkyard. But these doors have to have the Fastback glass placed in them, so he's going after that. And then things like the window roller mechanisms, the door latching mechanisms, those types of things all need to be swapped out. One more cool thing that we're doing on this car though, that if you remember our last swap series that we attempted to do before its tragic end, is electronic door pops that wire into the 2019 Mustangs wiring harness and everything like that. So when you take the key and you hit unlock, it actually triggers a door popping solenoid that lives within the door that Oscar's installing in these things that connects to the door pop. Well, it's not a door pop, sorry, it's a lock pop. So unlock will unlock the door and lock will lock the door with the keys, which is just a really nice thing to have in a vehicle like this. So that's super cool. The 2019 key fob will control the trunk and the door lock and unlock, which is all the buttons it has. And finally, the door cards on 67 Mustangs are pretty grody. They don't really look that good, so we like to remake them out of some form of metal. These ones are gonna get upholstered, which is a little different than we've done in the past. But first step, take a nice sheet of aluminum, template out that door panel, that door card area, and Oscar's transferred over all the holes, drilled all the holes for all the bolts, and countersunk all those holes so it'll look really nice and pretty. And then we're just gonna go ahead and upholster over that as well to give it a nice little texture change. We had a lot of work to do before we could move on to the next step. And so what we wanted to do is do more structural rigidity than what we did in the last body swap that we've done, like Oscar's Mustang. Although it works perfectly fine, we're just trying to make it better in ways we know we can. So that's what welding all of this sheet steel into here is. It's heavy duty sheet steel. It's all getting welded in to help really connect even stronger the 67 shell body that we're putting on back up to the 2019 without losing any structural rigidity or building any weak spots. And then we're coming back to this cowl area where we had worked on before. Just run a bead of seam sealer over every single crack, every single place. Look at any OEM factory car and how much seam sealer they use. Like rip up the trunk, the liner of your trunk and start looking around at how much seam sealer they use. It's a lot. It's good stuff. It's lightweight. It doesn't take up a lot of, usage, but it can really save you from having any leaks or any issues. So seam seal the crap out of all those seals, hit it all with Steel Lit Gray right there, and getting the cowl ready to go. So I went ahead and sanded up the cowl so it's ready. And then the last piece that I did there is a little bit hard to see is we run a peak bead. So similar to how you would install a windshield, a high bead across the windshield area right there to so when we bond that upper cowl to the lower cowl, there cannot be any air or water getting through. Onto the back end, the stock exhaust mufflers and everything, you got to get the chop. We're going to have to integrate mufflers further back in line with the exhaust. And I'm working on the back, getting the rear fill panel in, placing that, the rear valance in, placing that, so we can start looking at how we're going to build out a rear bumper.
We're a little bit past halfway through our first day of this episode. I want to give you guys a status update on where we've got so far. Remember what I said about using the other rear bumper, but then I said all the good safety stuff about the OEM rear bumper? Yeah, so I went back to the OEM rear bumper, decided that was the better way to do it. So that is hard to see, but it's in there. It's welded in there, and then this all gets boxed out and filled out and everything, so it's all nice. Got the rear valance starting to be test fit on there. That's going to be welded in. And another big thing that was done is the evap system is relocated and living in its permanent home down there. So next steps for the back end are the valance, getting the valance kind of finished out. It's got to be welded to the rear tail panel and then welded in the bottom. And then we got to start looking at how to mount the OEM rear bumper that will go in here and then bolt to the crash impact bumper. Oscar's got the first fender mounted, so I want to show you guys how we do this. All the body swaps we've ever done, the best way that we found first off is building a nice rail that runs across here that has holes for each one of your fender bolts that run all the way back down through there. Then we attach it down here, right here, attaching it back through to the body. And then Oscar welded in a plate that runs right through there that has some bolts that bolt it to the body as well. So he's just gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other fender. So this doesn't look much like a side skirt. If I flip it this way, it looks reminiscent of a side skirt that you might have seen in a movie once. And I did say we are not building that car, and that is not what this is about. But to get to my vision and to do what we wanted to do it was cheaper and easier to buy this part off of eBay as a starting point and modify it than it was to try and come up with, like, make this whole thing from scratch. Especially since we didn't know if we're gonna have a 3D printer set up in time or not, which we still don't know. So what we're building is a Shelby GT500 inspired tribute car. Now, when you look at the movie car and you look at a Shelby GT500, I'll put them both on the screen right here, they're pretty similar. When you look at the modern GT500s that are being made right now, it gets even more similar. And what I learned after doing a lot of research was that the movie car was made by taking a lot of different pieces and parts of things that Shelby did and then just slapping them all together in one package and making some slight modifications. Now, when it comes to this side skirt, that's where it's kind of interesting. I haven't ever seen a Shelby car with a side skirt. I have seen a lot of Shelby cars with an exhaust thing, and I think that's where this was inspired by, was a big exhaust tube running down the side of the car and then having it kick out side exit. So if you kind of blurred your eyes and imagine that could be a big tube with a side exit kick out, I think that might be where this piece of fiberglass got inspired. Not really sure. So yeah, we're not gonna run an exhaust tube all the way down the side because we absolutely can't. The car just can't do it. And I do like the bulged look, but we're not gonna do the side exit exhaust. So we're gonna modify this to just be a bulge look with a little bit of a slight tweak of our own styling to it. So we're gonna make it kind of bulge and twist up a little bit more than it used to. So using this as our starting piece, we're gonna come in here and we are gonna start cutting all of this exhaust port stuff off. So this is gonna get cut off through here. It's gonna get cut off through here. And then we're gonna use our old tried and true tape method to start taping up and building scaffolding for new fiberglass to come in here. So the idea is we want this, you see how it kind of starts that way and it torques up a little bit? That's what we wanna do. So we're gonna go ahead and take all this stuff out. It'll just be a little bit hanging onto it right through here and back here. And then we'll start taping it up, scaffolding it, and then we'll start refiberglassing over it. And in the end, it'll just have it'll have a little bit more torque to it and it'll have no exhausty stuff in here. Good morning, everybody. It's the next day. We had a bit of a stressful night, but for right now, just right now in the episode, I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. We're going to focus on the here and now and the physically done stuff, not the problems for future Chris. In the back of the car here, progress is moving along, but to be honest, it's moving along a little bit more slowly than I would like. So I got to really put the hammer down and get this stuff going faster. We got the rear fill panel welded in, the rear valance welded in, rear bumper I already talked about, that's all welded in. So I'm working on the trunk pop. These 2019 Mustangs have an electric trunk pop. There's a solenoid that's done like this. This comes right off the wiring harness, so it needs to live down here somewhere. And then the other half of it goes up there. Close down, lock in, hit a button on your key fob or inside the car, and that will pop. We also have to find room to hide the camera right back here, our backup camera. So it's just kind of like a little bit of trickiness to make sure you fit both of those things in there, but I'm gonna go ahead and work on that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and give this bumper the chop. I don't know why, but all of these rear bumpers always come too wide, so we cut them right down the middle, skinny it up a little bit, and I'll get that bumper fitting on there so I can start looking at fully attaching that. Oscar's got the fenders mounted to the car now, both sides of the fenders, and they are bolted in, permanently mounted, looking great. So now it's time to move on to the hood. That's our hood, lives on here. Two pops in the back, like hood pops, and then two hood pins in the front. That's 4 mounting posts, and then they'll have bumpers kind of around as well to keep it in the right spot. That's the game plan for the hood. Back here in dark fiberglass world. So the protruding parts of the side skirts have been cut off. Now the next process is to run tape. We're gonna be running tape from like here to over here and here to over here. And I did a little bit of test work and kind of development on this, and we need to fill in this negative space with just something, anything, really doesn't matter, styrofoam, foam. We're gonna use this with some packing material from my new Harbor Freight table I gotta show you guys. So we're gonna stuff a bunch of that stuff in there and put tape over it, and that'll keep it nice and taut, because what we wanna do is basically keep this flowing to the back side of it. Once we have the tape over it, then we can lay fiberglass over the tape and fiberglass it all together. I really like my new table, but it doesn't exactly fit the aesthetic of a car shop. We just got this set up and the wheels just came in the mail. So this is my new mobile workbench. So Oscar's got his mobile tool set, and we thought about putting a workbench top on it. We may still do that, but this is my mobile workbench, my little spot to be working. So it's wood, which is a little weird to be in a car shop, but I like it. Thanks, Harbor Freight. Okay, time to get to work. We're changing up the game plan for how we mount the hood on it here. Before, we have done little standoffs in different places and stuff like that, and bumper mixed with a standoff and some of these guys to keep it. What are these things called? Push tabs, push lock, pop it and lock it buttons. Anyways, we've done that. This time we're building something a little bit different, but I wanted to explain it to you guys, and that way also that would explain why we don't have that pretty engine cover. So first mod we did, pull the engine cover off. The fill neck, the oil fill neck, if you take the end off of it, it fits really nicely where the neck came from, the nozzle. Yeah, I'm not doing great with words, thanks Oscar. So this guy was in there, and then the cap was on there, and we just pulled it out, put the cap in there, and it fits really nicely. So that's cool. And that got rid of a lot of the high level stuff. We have an aftermarket air intake coming from Holley that we're gonna get on here, and that's gonna help as well. But then once we got the cover off, we decided a really cool way to do this. So in the hood, there are supports that run horizontally through the back of the hood. And we wanna rest those supports on a nice little beam or a bar or something like that. And what we can do is double up and make a strut brace as well. So that's what we're working on fabricating here. It's a strut brace that also is going to hold the back of the hood, and then it's going to locate it with the pins as well. So it won't move side to side, but the weight of it, and this is an aluminum hood, so it's actually really nice and light. The weight of it will all be supported by that in the back. Now to do that though, we are going to have to get into a little bit of the internals. It looks like there's quite a lot of room here. These fuel lines have some covers on them. And we need to be careful to make sure that we don't bust through these breathers. These are definitely, wait, these don't look like breathers. These look like they're going into the firewall. Are they?
Coolant lines.
They might be coolant lines. Yeah, so I misspoke there. Those are coolant lines. And we got to make sure that they don't interfere with the fuel lines at all. So I'd like to keep this padding if we could, but maybe we can run side by side or something like that. And we're just going to take a little bit of the bracketry around. We're going to slim it down a little bit to gain a little bit more space, and then do a lot of test fitting, and then Oscar will fully fabricate this strut support bar out to be all nice and pretty. All right, rear trunk pop is installed, so I've got the hinge up here. I had to do it backwards from factory. I think this was living in there before, but so it has to be backwards because of wiring harness stuff. But anyways, this lowers down, clicks into there. I have some temporary stuff right here. Don't look at that. We're gonna clean that up and make it look better. But it's in there and it's working, and that's gonna allow me, I know I said I was gonna move on to that bumper. I'm not, I lied. I'm gonna move on to the corner pieces. These are really important drain pieces. As rain comes down into your car, it's gonna get here. You gotta make sure this drains it out of the car, not into the car. So I'm gonna be really careful. I gotta trim these up, make them fit, weld them in, get both the corners going. While I'm doing that, Kyle is starting to template out the connection from the back of the rear bumper, the back of the 2019 Mustang, into the 67 paneling. So it'll be sheet metal connecting each of the two pieces that we will tack weld all the way throughout, and seam seal, and then noise sound deaden it all up. That's kind of the finishing touch. Oscar is overjoyed with his welding table from Harbor Freight. This was a bonus, so he didn't even ask for this. They sent it out to us. Thanks, Harbor Freight, for yet another cool thing. So you can see Oscar notched the strut support bar. He's got his templated pieces out right here, and he's gonna go ahead and build the 45 so it's all out of 1 inch and get that cleaned up. And in the fiberglass labs, Kyle's got 3 layers of fiberglass around the old exhaust port, and we're starting to take shape there on both of these, and they're looking pretty good. So the idea is that now once this, it's still tacky. Once it dries up, we'll be able to start sanding this horizontally a lot, filling in spots, taking out high spots, etc., etc., working it down. So I told you I would explain the very, very big problem that has been, I don't get stressed out very easily. It's part of the reason I love doing this stuff. I like putting in a lot of hours. I like making stuff happen fast, and I do pretty good with stress. But today's been really stressful, and let me explain why. 3D printer, supposed to be our savior. Zane did an amazing job getting this thing to work. We did a test print. Here's some footage. And it prints, it does stuff. So when you have a printer, you have a model, you use some slicing software, it tells you how long the printer's gonna take, its current travel rate and everything to print the thing that you need. So I take this bumper model and I chuck it in the 3D printer, which is, you know, big enough to fit the whole bumper, which is amazing. And the slicing software promptly gives me the bad news. Print time was gonna be 9 days, and it was gonna use like 15 kilos of filament, which is like, it's 15 rolls, which is $300 of plastic, but it's also like 35 pounds of plastic. And so that's total fail. We don't have 9 days. So the 5 days, 6, 7, 10 days that we spent setting up this printer, not very much worth it. Also, just moving forward into the future, printing really large things, not really that much worth it. Like, why am I gonna spend 9 days to print a bumper when you can print it in chunks? I didn't go all in on a SEMA build thinking that the giant 7-foot wide 3D printer was gonna save all our problems. So I did have a backup plan. I had some parts ordered from Mexico. So I gave them a call today and I said, you know, how's the shipment? They were supposed to be shipped in the last 2 or 3 days, and I hadn't got a tracking number yet, so I was a little concerned. I was like, hey Mexico, how's it going? You know, got a tracking number on our parts. And they said, no parts. They are hung up at the border customs and they'll be shipped freight next Wednesday, which means they'd probably make it, you know, the Wednesday after that, which we gotta be on the road to SEMA the Wednesday after that. We have 13 days starting right now, so yeah, 14 days of waiting for our front bumper doesn't work. So main plan takes 9 days, that doesn't work. Backup plan takes 14 days. That doesn't work, and that's why I've been stressing. I don't often stress over money too much, but this thing costs a small fortune. I'm gonna pull up the email real quick. I want to figure out how much I spent on this thing. It was worse than I remembered. This cost $20,000. This 3D printer that prints a front bumper in 9 days costs $20,000. Now, you can take a model, right, and you can cut it up into chunks. The way you cut it up into chunks, you can change geometry, you can use less supports. Let me show you our test print. It's pretty cool. It's a mini front bumper. And as they said on Zoolander, it has to be at least 3 times bigger than this. When you do a 3D print, it just prints each layer and goes up like this. The printer, if it has to do something like this where it kind of cuts up, it builds supports, because you can't print in the middle of the air. You see how there's light underneath there? You can't just print in the middle of the air, or else the filament will get all stringy and crappy. Like, you can kind of see it's done right down there a little bit. So you do supports. So you can see here's some supports that I've left over. This is kind of how the supports need to be, how far apart they can be and stuff like that. And that's what supports look like basically on a 3D model. And that's because by the time, so it does fine with this part and goes all the way up to here, and then it starts kind of cutting in a lot, and it's basically printing horizontally into the air, and it's saying, hey, I need something to rest this hot filament on, and that's what the supports are there for, to support that hot filament laying down, and then it'll trap it and bring it back. So this is our front bumper 3D model, and when we look at it in the scale of giant, the problem comes in where when we're looking at the supports, they have to be, it's about every 1/4 of an inch there has to be a support. So imagine this entire thing filled up with the supports every 1/4 of an inch to catch our full-size bumper's overhang where it cuts back. And that's why it takes 9 days, is because it's basically filling this whole print bed with plastic to support the cutback. So one way you can get around it is you go into your software and you slice this piece to like this piece to this piece, and you just print that like up and down, so there's no supports needed because there's no overhangs. You cut everything up and print it in different chunks so there's no overhangs. Now, if I'm cutting this all up, why wouldn't I just say print it on my good old trusty Creality printer that costs 1/20th of the price? Nope, 1/40th of the price. So if you print less supports, less print time, doesn't take 9 days, but very much worth mentioning, That has the same exact nozzle and prints at the same exact speed as this thing. So if you cut it up into chunks, and if I had like say 6 of these Creality printers printing in chunks, it prints everything 6 times faster. So I'm sitting here today in big trouble on the SEMA build. I've got one lifeline that I'll tell you about in a second. And I feel like I might have wasted, or kind of wasted, $20,000, which is, we have a high threshold for making mistakes with money here at BS4 Build, but that's not good. So with that being said, if anybody wants to buy this 3D printer, it is pretty much for sale right now. There, I'm sure, are industrial uses, and the place that it comes from is at war right now, so they're probably not in production. And I have one that's already assembled, so you know my email. Anyways, here's how we get ourselves out of this problem. I've emailed a lifeline. There's another company out there that produces parts that are very similar to what I wanted to produce. If we can get one in time, I could modify it to make it exactly like the one I wanted to produce. While that's going on, I'm gonna run this printer and this printer at full frickin' tilt, printing a ton of chunks with the hopes that I can print enough chunks in enough time that we can glue them all together and we can build our front bumper, and now we're gonna also build an upper headlight surround. Totally custom, BS4 Build, Shelby inspired versions. So I better get this thing started. All right, on the back end here, we got the little corner pieces in. Those are a quick thing. And Kyle's working on getting all the fill pieces in. He's getting quite a few of them done, so it's gonna be really cool to start welding this off and blocking it off from the world. My goal is tonight to finish this whole back end. So there's a lot of stuff. Taillights are a huge one. Let me show you what we got going on. So over here are the 2019 taillights that we're gonna be using for the internals. There are some LED light strips in here, or at least I hope so. And the previous owner did some slight modifications, which I'm hoping aren't going to be a problem. But opening these up, taking out the elements to put into these. And these are Shelby GT500 style taillights. Now, Shelby started putting these in his cars, and these actually came from a Mercury Cougar. So I guess, I don't really know my history that well. Ford must have owned Mercury, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that part, but I know that that's where these taillights came from. You can still order this part as a reproduction Ford part off of the Mercury. Some slight changes and stuff, but this is a Shelby touch, a Shelby GT500 touch, but they are more of a Ford factory part. So it's like 4 parts. You got the inner that goes inside the car, you've got the lens, you've got the bezel. This is a nice machined aluminum piece right here, and then you've got a gasket that I've conveniently stored on the ground. So I'll pull the LED strip out of here. I'll place it in here like this. I'll find a way to bolt it in there. And then it's pretty cool because all the stuff like the sequential, the daytime running lights, all of the settings that the 2019 Mustang had, they just cross right over into your nice classic taillight. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and get these things installed so we can get them test fit into the car. Morning, guys. It's the next day, and Oscar has joined me in catastrophe land. Let me tell you all about it. Driver's side taillight is almost done. Well, it's about, I just got started, but passenger side is done. Kyle's got layer of fiberglass reinforced body filler on our side skirts over there. 3D printing is working well over there. Oscar's got the rear mounts and the strut bar finished for the hood. This thing is super, super cool. And that's going across. He's working on the front ones. And then catastrophe struck Oscar, and his second story bathroom is leaking into his first story, whatever. I don't know what's underneath there. So that's a problem. So if we see him before the end of this episode, we'll give you guys a status update. If not, status is bad. Bad for all of this. Bad for him, bad for the house, bad for the project. Doesn't need water in his house anyways. Should just go shut off the main at the street. Yeah, they can buy bottled water, like it's what they do in Michigan. All right, time to throw some mods onto this car. First one comes from BC Racing. BC Racing makes the best coilovers in the business. These absolutely transform your ride. I've got these on my GTR. I've got these on my R69 GTR. I've got them on my Supra. They make your car ride like it's on rails. This is a BR series set of coilovers. And for this S550 Mustang platform, you got a coilover shock in the front. It's pretty self-explanatory as to where it goes. And then in the back, you have a shock right here, and then you have the kind of independent spring setup with the adjustment down here. To make the car visually look right, you got to lower the S550 Mustang, the 2019, quite a bit. So I called up BC because, like I said, they're the best in the business. I mean, like, all my favorite Formula Drift drivers drive on BC. They're just an awesome company. So huge thanks to BC Racing for supporting us on this build. I'll put a link in the description. If you guys are looking for coilovers, definitely go check them out. So Kyle's gonna throw a camera on and get these things installed. We'll show you through the process, and I will get these taillights finished. Oscar's back. How bad was it?
It wasn't terrible. Luckily, it was a part you can buy and then replace. Yeah.
His house is not floating.
No, it's just flooded. It's just wet.
It's okay though? Any real damage?
No real. Well, I mean, everything got wet, so it's like, you never know.
We got some fans here we can send you home with.
Yeah.
Lots of fans. All right, we're all back to it now. It's late, but we just hit a huge milestone. We just got every big bolt-on part to the car bolted on. Every big component that we have is on. In today's episode, it's all about the test drive. We're gonna get this thing, hopefully, we'll get all the electronics working again. We undid everything and then changed the body on it. So we're gonna redo all the electronics, hopefully get all the grounds back where they belong and stuff like that so it'll fire up. We're gonna wire in some of the modern things into the vintage car, so things like remote door unlock, remote trunk pop, car door open and close sensors, those types of things all need to work. And then we get it dialed in enough to go for a little test drive. Hopefully I don't do any Mustang things. We can't swap a quarter panel at this point. Do it better. Foster's got the cage welded up very nicely. It looks really, really good. I'm super happy about that. Now, we actually did get an email in from a structural engineer about our cage design. Said it's going to be so much stronger and better on side impacts if we do some downwards as well. Even though we have the X in the middle, some downward bars are going to help a lot. So that is something we've put on the list. We're not going to ignore it. We just got to find time to do it, and we want to make sure that we're not going to block any other interior panels. I got the rear bumper on here. This is now the actual mounting spot, but it unveiled some pretty big problems. These bumpers, man, I know I mentioned this in the last episode. You could just see, like, this pins out here. This goes super wide. This is flush right here with the body, which is where I wanted it to be, and then it kind of comes in right here, doesn't meet up with the body, and we have this huge gap. And when this is flush right here, this point is so far off from meeting up with that point. So that's a problem that we're going to solve when we go into the bodywork phase. But as far as it being physically attached to the car, it's well attached. Kyle got the side skirt stuff going. So now we're going to jump into some interior stuff, and we got to start getting the car powered back on, bringing it back to life and making sure the electronics are functioning as we expect. So we undid all the wiring harnesses when we stripped this car out. So this is the taillight wiring harness, and it goes to the evap canister. So we're gonna have to punch a hole in here, run the wires down to the evap, get the taillights reinstalled, get our grounds reconnected. That's a really big thing. You can see there's like 4 or 5 ground wires that all go into this bundle. If you don't have that, you're not gonna have a good time. So we're gonna be at least temporarily reconnecting all the grounds, starting to run the wiring harnesses, plugging things back in so we can be ready to turn the car back on for the first time since its tear apart. Another key piece of the interior is something that Kyle's working on, and these are our Corbeau seats for this build. So when the car was wrecked, the seat airbags exploded, and they were going to take a lot of upholstery, but also people pretty unanimously didn't love the design on the seats. So I rang up Corbeau. They are our seat sponsor, and they hooked us up with these great Corbeau seats, and we'll show you them when they're in the car, and I will make sure to put a link in the description. But these are really, really cool seats, and they look really nice in classic cars, and they also have the really cool diamond stitching. So Kyle's going to get those all bolted together, and then we actually got, this is the first time we've done this, I think ever, we got the correct seat bracket and sliders for the correct car. So now it's just a bolt-in affair. I know you remember the headache on the white Mustang. All right, guys, we got the wiring harness ran, grounds grounded. Well, it's not ran permanently, but it's temp ran. And Kyle's got the seats in here. These seats look so good. Let me set them up right real quick. Oscar, you want to do the honors? I'm going to pull the swoop. I think we made a very good decision with these seats in this car. Like, that is a really good fit for a nice classic car. It looks really, really good. The seats are on brackets, so we're gonna, they'll be slid back a little bit. But damn, that looks really, really nice. So huge thanks to Corbeau for hooking us up with these. Link's gonna be in the description. I am very, very pleased with that. So let's start looking at the electrical and what we got and what we don't got. Anybody know where the key is? Okay, good start. Kyle, go ahead and apply the battery. So it's giving us this chime. Turn it on to on. Okay, so doors ajar. We know that. Hood's ajar, trunk's ajar, and a tire's low. Yeah, well, we ain't got no tire pressure sensor. Well, let's start working on some of these things. Let's hack the hood. Let's close the trunk. And, I wanted to test the taillights. Oh, they look so good. Should we try some blinkers? Oh yeah, looks great. Right, blinker? I thought it'd be a little bit more diffused, and this shows up a lot more on camera than it does in person, but you can definitely see where the lower elements are and where the upper elements are. We could say that's on purpose, or it could go through and remake them.
At least one's low. They match in the low side.
They match. They match. You could just say it's meant to be that way.
We should try diffusers before we try to remake them.
Yeah, diffusers would go a long ways. For those of you who don't know, diffuser, the idea is we just put something white, light, could be a piece of paper, it could be something in front of it, and it'll just really diffuse that LED and make the light beam spread a lot more. Okay, let's work on the hood and the trunk. The trunk should work just by closing it. It will work. Oh, and then we can test the trunk pop too. Okay, trunk is closed. Double tap this. Wait, they're gonna think we're cheating if you have your hand on it. It made a sound, but it made no pop. Okay, it doesn't think the trunk is closed. That's probably the problem. Huh. Okay, let's fix the trunk and the hood. Well, that was a dumb problem. I didn't plug in the latch, and I also welded a small plate in front of it. So I'm gonna bust this plate off, plug it in, and we'll give it another test run. While we're doing that, well, Oscar, how about you jump on that, and I'll show you guys through hot wiring the hood. So when we unwire the car, or we detach everything from the car, we label every wire. One of these is gonna say hood pop sensor. Hood latch. If a hood latch is 2 wires, it normally means if you just bridge these 2 wires together, it's gonna say the hood is closed. Normally. Try at your own risk, but that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna jam a piece of wire in between the 2 female parts of the pin, and I'm betting it's gonna say our hood is closed. All right, we got our loop. Now that's obviously temporary. The permanent version would be a lot different looking, but temporary loop. And go ahead and reapply power. It no longer thinks the trunk is ajar, so let's try this. Double tap. Boom! Trunk's open. Cool. Yeah, wiring it, attaching the wires definitely helps. Very, very cool. The guy's got the filler plates welded in, as you saw. We've got some seam sealer going on. We ran out of seam sealer, so we got more coming. I'm very, very happy with the way that that is turning out, though. It looks really good. So let's start to go into what we do with the doors and how we figure out the door stuff, because we had to refigure it out. We forgot. The last time I think we did this was a long time ago. So here's what I did. I grabbed a door, I ripped the paneling off the door, and I grabbed a multimeter, and I started testing wires. I also pulled the wiring harness up on my computer, and it got me confused because there's too many versions of Mustangs. So what I was looking for, first thing, was the door latching switch. We can go ahead and, oh, Kyle's working on the car. That's what the dings are. So I was working on the door latching switch, door closed switch, so it doesn't think the door is open or closed anymore. That, in this vehicle, some vehicles it's a little push button. In this vehicle, it's part of this module. So I traced all the wires from this module to where that they belong over here. And then I started testing and probing and grounding different things and seeing what different things did when the door was opened and closed. And I found out that this little wire, I don't know, I'll find it. Anyways, there's a white wire in here. It's somewhere in here. This little white wire right here, that goes to ground when the door is closed. So then we correlate this pin, this female plug, to the male plug, and when we ground that same pin to the car, it's gonna think the door is closed. So let's verify my concept right now. All right, after a little bit of learning about how to look at a plug, because you know plugs are mirrored depending on how you're looking at them front to back, we got it. We got our jumper in here, so you can see the car thinks the door is closed. There's no more door open warnings. And now the next thing that we do is we actually put in a sensor to tell when the door is open or closed. So this gets installed right here, and we wire the ground for the door harness that's right back there, and then the white pin. If you're doing this at home for any reason, which I just can't imagine a lot of you guys are, but anyways, it's the white wire in your door harness, pure white wire. Anyways, black to the white, and then what happens is when this thing gets shut, it connects them, and then when it's open, it disconnects them, and then shut happens to also mean door shut. So we'll go ahead and get this full thing wired in, and then our car will know when the door is open and closed. All right, we've got this thing set up. Kyle, go ahead and power on the car. Okay, so you can see the car is powered on, and when I open the door, we got the door ajar, and then when I close the door, no more door ajar. Very, very nice. Now the next thing we're gonna walk, can you unplug the car? Because it's really annoying. Oh, whoa! See that spark? How'd you manage to do that? You grounded out the wrench? I wonder why it sparked way over there.
Threw a fatty spark.
Yikes. It's always got to happen on one car. Oscar did it on the Tesla. Kyle hasn't done it yet. I once wired the Lamborghini battery backwards, so. Next up is the door, auto door locks and unlocks. So on the key fob, you've got a lock and an unlock button. We want that to work. How we do that is, this time rather than looking at the door, I actually did just pull up the wiring diagram. And also the other thing that I did was I chased all the high gauge wires that ran to the the whole latching mechanism. And we found the pair that is right. On the passenger, it's violet gray and gray brown. And over here, we don't know. And what we're going to be doing is Oscar's already installed a door popper kit that I bought off of eBay. It's a little solenoid that opens and closes, and it has 2 wires that run out. So in a previous episode, Oscar did all the internals for this door, and so he put the door popper in there, and that's the green and blue wire that he's running out through there. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole in the back of the door. We're going to drill a hole right here. We're going to build a nice little wire bundle that we're going to run through here, and then it's going to go into that same wire bundle that the door open close sensor went into, and then hopefully when we hit the key fob lock and unlock, it will lock and unlock the doors. All right, you guys ready for the coolness? So Oscar went ahead and wired both the doors in. What are they? They're unlocked right now. So lock, unlock. Very nice. Door sensor operational. Don't care about passengers, so don't get a door sensor. Anyways, so you do that, hit it again, car's ready to roll. Modern touches, so nice. You know what else is nice? Fresh off the printer, our last piece for our front bumper, we hope. So over the last 48 hours, what I've done is I downloaded a Shelby GT500 Ford Mustang from a video game, and I 3D modeled. Well, okay, so I've had a rendering that I've been working off of. I don't want to show you guys it yet. I'll show you in the next episode. And it's custom. It's got our custom touches to all the different parts that we want to do and different things like that. So I took the video game car and then I custom modeled our own front bumper and our own styling onto the video game car. And then I set the scale based on this car. And we're not sure if that's going to work or not. And this is like the moment of truth. We don't really have enough time to do this all over again. So what we need to do is test it out, assemble the bumper, put it on the car, and see if it's gonna work at all. If it's a thing where it's too wide and we just need to take a little out of the middle, we can work with that. If it's a thing where it's a little too narrow and we can just add more in the middle, we can work with that. Almost anything else, and we're totally screwed, and we're going to plan A, B, C, plan D. So what we got to do is post-process these parts and then plastic weld them together so we can get a good valid test fit. Let me show you what we do here. So we chopped the bumper into 8 different pieces, 4 different unique pieces that are mirrored then. And we did that so they could print without supports, which I kind of talked about in the last episode. So we printed them all without supports. Here's a very, very fast video of that happening. So they come off the printer with this stuff stuck to the bottom of them and some other things like that. We need to clean up all the edges that join to the other pieces, like this. These edges just really got to get cleaned up nicely, and those edges right there. We're going to clean those edges. We're going to sand them up real quickly. We're going to grab the plastic welder, and then all of us are going to hold all these edges exactly together and plastic weld them together, quick and dirty, just to get a good test, and we can always come back and do it more officially if it works. Have a bumper. It looks the part. It looks like the 3D model that I did. My biggest worry is that it looks very narrow from right here on the table. Might have did some measurements wrong, but just remember, if we just need to add stuff into the middle, or maybe add stuff like right there, we can add stuff into any kind of flat place. Anyways, let's just get in the car and see. I'm so nervous. It doesn't look so narrow anymore. Oh! Okay, so this would go right here.
Here, let
How
me
far off are you?
Let me overlap. I'm like
right about there. See where they go. Oh, we broke it. I don't know, but we can fix it. Hey, the really good thing is like this part right here that's holding us out, that doesn't need to be there.
we can trim it down.
We can trim it down. It gives us 2 inches. That's getting us really close.
Okay, let's go weld it back up.
All right, here we go, round 2. Got a little trimmage. So yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, that would live right about there. Now the question, do I order the backup plan just in case? Well guys, we decided to commit to the bumper, and there's a slight miscommunication, and Kyle just got started, which is not a bad thing. Staying on top of it, trying to work on our deadline. So Kyle and I are gonna jump onto this right now. What we're doing now is we're fiberglass reinforcing the bumper. We're basically adding a whole layer, 3 layers of fiberglass over this bumper to try and basically turn it from being plastic to being fiberglass. So Kyle and I are both gonna work on this together. We're gonna coat it with fiberglass like he's doing now. That's our bottom layer. Sorry, resin, that is resin. Then we're gonna add our sheets of fiberglass, 3 layers of fiberglass over. Then we're gonna be adding what is called peel ply. That is some white stuff down there that can go on. It can dry with the resin and the fiberglass, and it can be peeled back up. Then finally we add a layer of breather cloth. That's this white stuff right here. Breather cloth allows the vacuum system to suck air from all around. So the breather cloth, then we put it in a vacuum bag and we apply vacuum to it, which will suck all the sides down and everything, and hopefully get us a nice firm finish with the fibers and everything being pushed right up against this bumper like it is. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing resined up and glassed up. We got the bumper laid up and the vacuum pump on it. Huge success. That was a bit of a fire drill. We kind of weren't ready. We all banded together and got this thing together, and this is the look that we want. The vacuum bag pulling on that vacuum cloth and everything, sucking all the air out of it and forming exactly to the bumper. That means that we got that fiberglass the fiberglass and the resin really pushing up against our plastic in the bumper. So that is really cool, and I have a lot of faith in that going right. The resin, it catalyzes so hard. I don't know if you can see that. It gets so hot, steam comes off of it. Well, it's not steam, it's like, what is that? Smoke? Steam? I don't know what it is, but
Chemical reaction, I think it might be smoke.
could be smoke. Why not good to breathe it? It's hot, whatever it is, really hot. So that in a micro scale is what's going on in here. Cool stuff. So we're gonna leave this overnight. Vacuum pump just keeps on ticking, and that'll get this thing to cure exactly the way that we want it, hopefully. So Oscar's gonna go ahead and weld in some support bars for the cage and seat belts. We got the rear downshoot bars welded into the cage area. That looks fantastic, and like our engineer friend said, makes it multiple times stronger. Seatbelts welded in, and then seatbelts fastened in there right in the back. And this right here gets covered by the body panels, so that's not a problem. And seatbelts kind of wheel out like that. They have the emergency stop. All good stuff. Next up, we're gonna work on getting our side skirts on here. So Kyle has finished the process of kind of getting them to be straighter and not have the exhaust tube, at least to the point where we're ready to get them onto the car and finish the body work out on the car. So we're ready to panel bond these onto the car, but first we gotta get them fit and find a way to like attach them to the car, and then the second step will be panel bonding. Now before we can do that, there's some welding that needs to happen underneath. So Oscar's gonna finish out welding the bottom rail of the old car to the new car, and then we're gonna get the side skirts cleco pinned on here and bracketed on here so we can start thinking about panel bonding them on before the night. It is time to panel bond. So I kind of want to mention that as far as the Mustangs that we've built and stuff, doing the body swap, classic, fastback, this is as far as we've ever gotten. So this is all new territory for us. What we just did with the bumper stuff, all of that bumper stuff is all 100% new territory for us. Hopefully something that we'll get pretty familiar soon. But we're getting into new territory here and new things, new experiences for us. We got the side skirt trimmed up. You have to cut the side skirt down there, so the fender and the side skirt are one piece and the rest of the car is one piece, and that part never comes off. What we did was we left a line of bare metal where we're going to be panel bonding on the bottom, painted everything else with steel it black, so it won't be so it's going to be protected against the elements. And then on the top line right there, we sanded off the primer to prep for our panel bond. So panel bonding, we use this crazy stuff. 3M's panel bonding adhesive. It's hardcore. I still don't have a gun for it, so we're just gonna squeeze it out with our hands and mix it up and use some like stir sticks. We'll apply it to the panel. We'll Cleco the panel back on and leave that overnight, and it should be like really, really super solid. Now, you know, side skirts sometimes see some abuse because people accidentally step on them and crap, so fingers crossed, but this is the strongest way that we possibly know how to do it. The other thing that you can do too is in the holes that the Clecos are in, before you go to the body fill stage, you can actually send screws through and then sand the heads off of the screws so you have a mechanical connection in there as well as the panel bond. Got the side skirts on. They're looking great. The panel bonding has set up really well, so I'll be pulling these Clecos out and this is ready for the test drive. And obviously in the next episode, we'll start body working these into the car and making them flow and look all perfect and everything. I have seen your guys' comments, about the wheels. A lot of people don't like the wheels. A lot of people do like the wheels. I think once you see the color of the car and everything matching, it'll maybe fit a little bit better, but just in case, I called Koenig and asked them to send me every single wheel that they think might possibly fit to the car, and they said yes, because they're that nice and that crazy. So tomorrow we will have a lot more wheels. Follow us on Instagram, B is for Build. They actually have a polling system on there, so I can have you guys vote on wheel choices to hopefully get that better. But also is the wheel arch, and I wanted to mention this. The wheelbase on these two cars is different. The 2019 is different than the 97, and that mixed with the dash placement lands this wheel back in the wheel arch just like an inch. So what we need to do is move the wheel arch an inch, and we will be doing that. And that's part of the custom front bumper, custom like over fender, and moving the wheel arch. We'll get that all done probably in the next episode. But from this episode, we're gonna probably have to just cut a little bit through here. Before we do that, it's exhaust time. Right here, we've got some exhaust that DNA Motoring sent us. This is for a 350Z, but I really liked, what did you call these, Oscar? What's this thing called?
Holmes device.
A Holmes device? This is off a 350Z, but I thought it might work well on the Mustang. We have a very limited amount of space, so I bought a bunch of different stuff. DNA Motoring sent us this. Thanks to DNA Motoring, we appreciate that. So they give us our blessing to cut this up and use it anyway. So we have a muffler here, a Holmes device here. We have some glass pack resonators here. And then these are pretty much worthless because I found there's just a piece of triangular metal in the inside and it does nothing. It might actually make stuff louder. So we're not gonna be running those on the car. We're gonna try and find a home for all the rest of this stuff and build out our exhaust, because right now it goes catalytic converter, H-pipe, straight pipe out the back, and that's just too loud. I gotta drive this thing 1,000 miles, and the goal is to build a daily drivable car that I'm gonna wanna jump into, take to the casino, take out to dinner, use all the time. And honestly, if I have an insanely loud exhaust, I probably won't wanna do that. Moderately loud exhaust is okay. guys, Oscar did a great job on this exhaust. It looks super killer. I'm excited to see how it sounds. Now, we haven't started this vehicle since we pulled it in here before we cut the entire body off. So this is gonna be a little new to us, but let's give it a fire up here, hopefully. I like it.
You turn it off?
No,
That's not good.
that's not good at all.
When was the last time I ran it? Oh wait, fuel pump? That sounds like a fuel pump. Yeah, that's what it is.
Fuel pump's unplugged?
Yeah. When I welded the cage, I unplugged it.
Okay, fuel pump was unplugged. I was like, wow, that ran really good until it didn't. I had it on our checklist, like wires, grounds, but I didn't have like,
Yeah.
you know,
Things I
plug the fuel
unplugged.
pump back in. Okay, let's try this.
Rev it up.
I like that a lot, man.
Sounds
That's
good.
a good tone. That's really, it's like really throaty. Like it doesn't have that high rasp that they usually have.
Yeah.
I really like that a lot. Oscar's got a new exhaust system on the market. Oscar Exhausts Incorporated. Just send them your Mustang exhaust.
I like that. That's good.
Okay. Those seats are so comfortable too. I'm very happy about that. You know, sometimes like aftermarket seats are like, you're like, I don't want to drive in these for a long time. Those are cozy. The GTR. What are those seats? What brand? Well, we don't need to talk shit about them. There's an episode that only has like 2 million views on it. Yeah. Okay, we got to trim the fender before we can go for a drive. The problem is we are really running out of sunlight. Like really running out of sunlight. So,
Do it quick.
I guess we do a quick and dirty trim. Here we go. So overall on this build, you have to have the exhaust really low because you lower the car really low. But Oscar did a great job. We took that DNA motoring exhaust and added those harmonic pipes to the side of it. Now we have a weird hole for a taillight that we're gonna fill in, so don't worry about that. And then we've notched for the exhaust to get out. But that really made a really nice package, and the sound of it is just perfect. I'm so happy with how that turned out. We've got no front end on the car. We've got to have a front end on the car. We've got our wheel wells misaligned with the wheels. We've got to fix that. We've got no fender flare. We got to get all these types of parts onto the vehicle, and then we got to get the vehicle completely smoothed out, body filled, and everything done so it is ready for paint. So let's get started. All right, guys, bad news, but it's not super bad. We're not totally hosed yet. Two things happened that were unexpected. We are brand new to this. This is stuff we've never done before, so we have to, you know, try our best and learn from our mistakes. And here's the mistakes that were made. We put 3 layers of fiberglass down, and it is just not thick enough to hold its own shape, really, even. It's like, it's kind of bubbling up over here. It's almost there, but it's not thick enough that if we got the plastic off from behind it, that it would be the perfect shape of the bumper. We expected this to be strong enough. Well, here's what we expected. It's 2 different things. Sorry, Oscar's drilling in the background, but what we expected was the fiberglass to bond to the plastic and be one piece of the plastic. I thought that plastic was going to live underneath there forever, and it will not. The plastic really repels, so the resin sat on top of it, and it just wants to pop right off. So that wasn't a lifetime solution. And then, so I thought, okay, take the plastic out from underneath it, and we'll reinforce the fiberglass from the backside. But unfortunately, we just laid this thing up too thin. So we have 2 options, and we're kind of limited by time. One option would be to, by the way, these things aren't separating without destroying one or the other. We can either take the plastic out from inside this bumper right now, destroy the plastic, or we can take the fiberglass off of the plastic right now and destroy the fiberglass. So we could take the fiberglass off, destroy it, and build a mold out of this. Problem is then it takes a day for the mold to dry. Then we put the fiberglass in the mold and it takes another day for the fiberglass to dry. Plus getting the mold supplies can be a little sketchy to buy, you know, next day on hand. That's a lot of order stuff on the internet stuff. The other option is that we continue to reinforce this fiberglass and then we destroy the plastic underneath it when we do the removal. And that is the option that we're gonna move forward with because of time constraints. It's gonna allow us to lay up another round of fiberglass, vacuum bag it, verify that it's thick enough, and then just pop the backside out. It's gonna destroy the plastic version of the bumper, but we will have a good fiberglass version of the bumper. And that's only one night of drying up, which is obviously faster than 2. So that's what we have to do. We've got some really, really hardcore chop strand fiberglass mat, 2 layers of this stuff. If that doesn't do it, I don't know what will. This stuff is hardcore. So we're gonna do 2 layers of chop strand fiberglass mat over this whole thing, vacuum bag it once again, and send it. We got this thing going. I think we got a little bit too much resin in our fiberglass, which is, it makes it like a fraction amount weaker, but it's not really that big of an issue. But the vacuum is going good. I'm feeling good about this. I think we're back. I feel like we're steadily back on track. This is a lot of fiberglass that we got on this now, as far as like the thickness of the buildup of fiberglass. So that'll be a good bumper as long as everything dries up well. If we get a nice hard product out of this, we'll have a product that we can use. And that's what we're all about. So happy about that. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and get some sound deadening on the roof with the Be Quiet sound deadening. A bunch of sound deadening on the roof panel, and then we'll get the panel back on here and start welding it out so we can start looking at body filling this gap. The manufacturer sends the roof like this, so it's got this little divot or gusset so you can weld in here and then you body fill over it, making a nice seamless transition. All right, guys, it's a new day, checking in on our bumper, and we got it out of the vacuum bagging, and places like this are nice and dry, but other places are not fully dry. I'm hoping it's gonna continue to dry up. I'm not really sure why that would be. I'm wondering if maybe we vacuum bagged it so fast that it didn't give it time to dry. We definitely got enough buildup on there. We got enough fiberglass on there, but we need it to dry more. We're gonna see if, I got a friend that might have some UV lamps we can borrow, and you can see this stuff shouldn't be doing that. It should be like really, really hard and dry. So we're hoping this thing will actually dry up so we can start working it. If it does, we still might have a chance of running our own custom bumper, but each time that we lose a half a day on this project, our odds and likelihood are just going down and down and down. Right now it's a bit of a bummer, but I do think it'll dry up. Back in the B is for bodywork section of the world, we're gonna start laying down some lightweight body filler in some spots. We're gonna start doing some sanding in some spots. We're gonna finish welding out the cowl right over here. We've got, Oscar just got done bridging this gap. We did some hammering, a little bit of metal massaging to make this transition really nice. We're gonna get that going. We're gonna be panel bonding in the rear tail caps, sorry, and then we'll start flush mounting these into the body as well and start working on the nightmare that is the rear bumper. Basically, we're just looking at any body line that's not right, that's not working the way we want it to, that we can address right now, and we're gonna start body working these things in. Time to do a little update. Side skirt blending in is blending in quite nicely. We're getting really close there. Oscar's doing a really good job getting this corner cap blended all in and everything. It's lining up really nicely with the trunk lid now, and that's getting finished off. You can see we got fiberglass on these top seams there, and Kyle's getting this one going as well. There have been big developments in bumper land, and they're not good developments, unfortunately. Normally I'm pretty good with laughing this stuff off, but this has gotten to the point where it's like, it's really frustrating. So to source the front bumper, it was really important to me that I did not buy an e-car front bumper. I did not want a movie car front bumper or headlights around. I wanted either something that was different from that was modified and owned by a different company, or a Shelby part, a registered Shelby part, with this being a tribute car. So I reached out to one company and they kind of drug their feet for way too long and said, oh, well, the creation time, we don't have time before SEMA. So I said, okay. So then I set up the 3D printer and we started working on our path down that, and that is in the glowing red tent back there, which I'll show you in a second. So that's plan A, plan B, plan C. Order movie car parts from Mexico, have them shipped here, modify them so they no longer look anything like the movie car parts, run those. That plan falls through. Plan D, backup plan D. Yet another company, really expensive parts. And the story is basically, hey, we got this, it's gonna ship, it's gonna get there on Friday. Today is Thursday. So I'm like, hey, checking on the tracking, I look at that, it says it's arriving Friday the 27th. We load into SEMA on the 28th. Took the parts that they had that could have got to us, and now they are in the hands of FedEx and we're never gonna get them, and they are definitely gone until after SEMA. So now we're completely on our own. We've had 4 other plans fall through, and now you have to make this crazy 3D printed front bumper thing work out. And kind of looks like Stranger Things in here. Anyways, it's not working great. We put a ton of resin on this, and I don't know if it has to do with the amount of resin that we got on here or what we did. We put a ton of fiberglass on here and we accidentally put a little extra resin, not too much extra resin. And this resin is still tacky. So I've been Googling different tricks and different things you can do to harden up resin. We have been heat lamping it and cycling it, and that actually has been working. So we've been able to get parts that were tacky to be hard. So that's good, but somewhere like some of this stuff, it's hardening up. So it has been using up a lot of our time processing this, and now with this huge layers of fiberglass on here, it is not nearly as smooth and as uniform as we had it before. So there's going to be a lot more post-processing and a lot more work to be done on this. But I really hope we're going to be able to make this work, because this is our only option. If we want to run a cool looking, custom, more modern looking front bumper on this vehicle, this is our only option. Backup plan, it's not the worst backup plan in the world, but we'd take Oscar's front bumper, headlights around, front grille, all these things, and we would start working them. We'd work them a little bit and customize it a little bit more, and that's what we would run. The hood though is a Shelby style hood, and the Shelby stuff has about an extension of like this much, so the hood would stick out to like here. So we'd have to trim the hood back, and it's not stuff that we want to do. We'd rather do it right. So we're gonna try and make that front bumper work, and then let's talk about the headlight surround. So a Shelby headlight surround comes off the car about this far. The headlight sits in the bucket a little bit deeper, and then this comes out to meet the Shelby hood, which meets about out here, and it has much more of an aggressive angle, and then it runs through. So to do that, I tried to 3D print it. I modeled it off the same video game car that we modeled the front bumper, and I 3D printed it all. And here's a few of the pieces. They join up like this, and when we went to test fit this headlight surround, the bucket's part of it, onto the car, unfortunately the geometry in the game that I set basically the hood line and the fender line, the geometry that I designed that around, it was totally off. So if you make the angles work to where this is like supporting and ready for the hood, it's just completely wackadoo and will never fit on the car and look right. So we have some options. We could take a 3D scanner, we could scan this, hope we get a correct scan. I could jump into the computer, I could 3D model it, and in about 35 hours or so, I could have a plastic version of it. But as we've seen with the fiberglass process, it's not really working out and going super fast. So I'm very hesitant to go off and do another 3D model because the speed hasn't really been there. The other option is take the supplies that we have, meaning headlight buckets like this one, like that's a brand new one that we had in storage. There's another one over there, 67 headlight buckets, and we modify them to look like a Shelby headlight surround to fit the roll. And as of right now, that's our game plan, because we will be done with body work before the end of this episode. We have to be, and we've got like 3 days. So that's the game plan. But while I'm waiting for that bumper to harden up, the game plan is bumper harden up, start to get that test fit on the car, so we're cleat-coat onto the car, we're getting it in the right area, and then design the headlight bucket around that to make sure that we're matching both of them up really, really nicely. So while that's happening and the bumper is drying, I guess I'll say, I'm jumping into Fender flareage world. By the way, Koenig sent us a ton more wheels. We test fit a bunch of them out right there. We're getting even more wheels. Don't you guys worry. I do think that these wheels might look the best in the end, but we've got 4 other options. Anyways, I'm gonna jump into the Fender flare world and start to get stuff cleat-coat onto the car and get it where I want it to be before we panel bond it on. The goal is to flare out the fender a little bit, bring it out to cover up the wheel. Also by moving this wheel arch a little bit inboard. But do keep in mind, Mustangs have a larger opening in the front than they do in the back. Flare in the rear should be a lot easier. We're just gonna throw that thing on there and cleat-coat it down. It should be pretty good. Fender flares are cleat-coated in. You can see how we were able to move that, the optics of the wheel arch, we're able to move that in a little bit. And then this one's all centered up as well. These are gonna take a good deal of work to fiberglass in. First we panel bond them to the metal, and we fiberglass them in. That's just basically mocking up placement. There's still a lot of work to go on both of those. I wanna wait till Kyle's done with his side skirt though before I cut it up and move it. Next up on the list is some scoopage, Shelby scoops. So Shelby invented the scoop that goes up there and the scoop that goes right there. It was really important to me that we get Shelby licensed parts for these, so that's what this is. This is a Shelby licensed reproduction scoop, and it's the first part that literally just bolts onto this car, which is really nice. Now we got to do a couple mods to it. We're going to put a grill right here and a grill right here. Then we're going to come up to the car and we are going to block it off. Now these scoops probably were to scoop air in back in the day. And well, I know they were because the interior paneling has an open and close slot on the venting there. So they scooped air into the car, but now that we have AC and all that good stuff, we don't need that. So we're going to be blocking this off, leaving these bolt holes so it can still bolt in, and then adding a little bit of grills for cosmetics in here, and they will be ready to go. The Shelby side vents have been grillified. Got the grills in there like that, and then the car has had those holes blocked off. Got some sheet metal in there and got it tacked off. And then what we're going to do is hit that with seam sealer, and then it'll be hit with Steel It to get it all prepared and ready before these things go on finally. So that's all ready to go. The bumper seems to be dry. Let's go check it out. So it's about 11 p.m. right now, and about noon or 1, our neighbor let us borrow this heat lamp. And when we use this heat lamp to just add heat and then let it cool, add heat, let it cool, to help the catalyzation process in this resin, because the resin was really tacky, and it did the job. I'm really, really happy to say everything is nice and hard. So the next step is gonna be to process the edges of all of this and then get the plastic out of here, see what we're left over with. It's a big moment of truth to see if we're gonna actually be able to use this bumper and process it and move forward with it, or if it's just a lost cause. It was a struggle and a half, but we toasted that plastic stuff. Now, I do want to mention there is a type of 3D printable plastic that will bond to fiberglass and resin. And if the plastic would have stayed on the fiberglass, we would have had a good part there. So that's worth keeping in mind for future research and development and creation of parts, especially one-off parts. It could be a good thing to have like 4 layers of fiberglass and then just a layer of plastic behind it. But as I mentioned before, we have no more backup plans. This bumper is on our car for SEMA, or it's a stock Mustang bumper, probably getting stolen off of this car. So we're gonna make this thing work, and we're on a good path to making it work. The fiberglass has hardened up. It took 48 hours, but it hardened up very nicely. So I'm not worried about that problem anymore. So now it's time to finish this thing out. It's a little flimsy for my liking. I think once we add the body filler to do our smooth coat, it will stiffen it up a lot, I know, but just in case, we're gonna reinforce it some more. So what we're gonna do is key up the backside of this, sand it with 80 grit. I bought some better resin that should dry faster and some more chop strand matte, and we're gonna be just infusing the whole back of this with a lot of chop strand matte. Once that gets done, then we can start sanding on this thing and cleaning it up. The second part of the puzzle is the upper headlight surround, and that's what Oscar and I are gonna jump into right now. I started modifying this bucket by cutting out some of the overhang lip stuff. You can see my cut line right there to get it starting to shape up. But we've got a lot of work to do to go from two of those things to something that looks, you know, looks the part. The game plan is right now is we're gonna be cutting the car, like I said before, right through here and extending this out with steel, so we have steel on steel, because this is aluminum, so it's going to be very hard to work with. It's like 50-60-year-old cast aluminum too, so I don't want to guarantee on welding to anything to that. I think fiberglassing into it is good, but no welding onto that. So we're going to be working in the steel area, which this is made out of steel. This is aluminum. No reason we should modify this anyways though. So steel, cutting this out, extending it forward so our headlight bucket matches up with the hood right here. Then this point of the headlight bucket right here needs to match up with this peak right here. All right guys, first move was a success. We cut this headlight ring out, welded in our full support piece in the background before any fiberglass or anything, moves the headlight bucket out just how we need to, gets the bottom of it looking at the right spot in the bumper. That's great. It's also at the right angle to meet up with the hood and everything, so that's good. Next thing is the hood has a secondary point, so this point is meeting up right, this point is not. So we're gonna be test fitting these back in the car. We're gonna figure out a cut line and how we're gonna try and do this. We're gonna, ideally we would move this point in a little bit, or at least keep it where it is, and then we gotta move this part out so it meets up with the hood somewhere around that far away. Fiberglass has been going really good. Today is just our day on this stuff. So our quick and dirty backup, or backing, did really well. This new resin, the blue stuff, is a rock star. It's drying up really well. I should show you the brand. So here's what we were using that I do not recommend. Just straight up Bondo fiberglass resin. Don't recommend that at all. This is the stuff we were using. It looks familiar to me. I think it can be found in most body stores, body shops. That stuff is about 1/3 of the cost more, 30% more, but I mean, saved us an incredible amount of time because it's already dried up. It's already workable, where the last stuff took 48 hours and we're not happy with it. Because we're not happy with it and I'm not happy with this finish coat on this, we're gonna do one more layer of fiberglass. We're gonna do one final layer of woven cloth over the front of this piece with the blue stuff, with the hopes that it'll dry up fast enough, as fast as the last stuff did, and we'll be working with it with body filler by tonight. So Kyle's got this all sanded down. That's what he's been doing for the last hour or so, is just sanding out all the high spots and sanding out all the crap. And now it's time for one last little weave, and then we're ready to roll. Is that how many sanding discs you went through? This is the amount of gumminess that we had from the resin, and sanding that crap off was terrible. Thank you to Harbor Freight for all the sanding discs. We do appreciate you saving us a small fortune. I gotta say, it's a mixed feeling with us being like completely all in on doing our own thing from here on out. No outside support, no outside parts are coming, no nothing. So the downside is it's taking a lot more time and it's a lot more risk. The good side is that we know what we got to do. We keep our heads down, we stay focused, and we just do it. And there's no alternative. So your brain kind of doesn't wander and say, oh, well, should we just stop here and wait till the parts arrive or anything like that? Like, we're on our own. So every time we run into a problem, we know just get creative and get over that problem and keep moving on. And I'm very happy with how things are progressing. So the goal is by tonight, we'll be getting body filler on that. And then the headlight buckets are moving along really well. Our upper headlight surround, I'm stoked on. Let's get it finished. It's a new day, and progress yesterday was awesome on front end stuff. I gotta say, we are 4.5 days from time we gotta drive out. So we gotta get cooking on the body work and maybe try and make up some time on the paint phase. But I think we're not in terrible shape. I know this looks terrible for 5 days before leaving for SEMA, but it's, I don't know, maybe it is. Anyways, the bumper got the round of lightweight body filler, and then you sand almost all of that off. So you can see how we sand till it gets almost transparent to where you can see the fiberglass, using the fiberglass underneath as kind of a guide for how far to sand, and then, you know, kind of using your hand to feel out all the flat spots. So all the corners are not done being processed, but the big flat chunks are there, and we're going to be continuing to process this bumper over here so Oscar can start working on front end safety stuff. So we need to put an actual impact bar, something to tie the two frame rails together, in the front here, and then off of that bar we can start building mounts and things like that for how we're going to hold the bumper. Headlight buckets have been coming along really well. We got our fiberglass reinforced body filler on here, and we've shaped them out. We shaped the extension out. We shaped this part back in. So we're getting to the phase where it's just going to be a lot of sanding to get those things perfectly smooth, so you can't tell that they've been messed with. And we're getting there. I'm very happy with the shape of how everything is turning out, given the situation that we are in. This is not exactly a miracle, but it's pretty awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and get a front bumper being built out. We're gonna keep working on our actual bumper. We're gonna get a front impact bar built out. We're gonna keep working on our actual bumper with cutting the edges sharp and clean and starting to process all the edges on this thing and the corners, and then doing the final touch-up work on it. Well guys, it's 8 p.m. on what's supposed to be our last day of body work. Let me show you where we're at. If I had to guess, I'd say we're not on our last day of body work. We've got the rear fender flares panel bonded on the car. We're working on the rear bumper attachment point because remember the bumper is stupidly shaped. Side skirts are coming along really good. Almost done with those. Front fender flares we haven't even really touched yet because they have to join up to the bumper down there. And the bumper has taken a lot of time. We've got it sanded up, hit it with a level of high coat primer. It still needs finish sanding to really, really smooth it out. That's gonna be hand sanding at a higher grit sandpaper and filling in of pits. It's close. I am really, really happy that we were able to create a bumper on our own. Very, very proud of that. And then the upper headlight surrounds is coming along. We ran out of welding gas, so for the rest of the day, we can't weld anything anymore. We got a front impact bar in, but we can't weld out the rest of the front headlight surrounds. So I think our last day of sanding is definitely going to turn into tomorrow. But for right now, what we're going to do is check out how the front bumper looks with the car on the ground and the front bumper test fit in it. You guys, look how good this looks. I'm so happy with how this turned out. Look at, so we got our front end perfectly like level with the hood, how we want it. The distance from the headlight buckets is perfect. Now, obviously, I didn't 3D print enough bumper. It'd be great if we had an extra bumper going this way. So that's some stuff that we're gonna have to build and fiberglass in, but we're not worrying about that right now. We also have to finish out our headlights around, but overall, this is absolutely amazing. We 3D printed a freaking front bumper of our own making, and it fits the rendering so perfectly. I think the biggest thing on our build is that it carries this curve down a lot more and then kicks out. And I think that's really a lot closer and more reminiscent of the Shelby GT350R that he designed that had the bumper that was similar to this. And I love the look of it. So I'm super happy with how this is going. And now we just got to get this thing over the finish line because this bodywork stuff is taking a long time and getting it 80% roughed out is pretty fast, but we've got to get to the finish work stage. So what we're gonna do now is get the bumper fully attached because that gets glassed into the fenders and the headlight buckets can then get glassed into the bumper. So we gotta get everything fully attached, really hardcore mounted so there's no worries of anything cracking or breaking on the journey to SEMA or afterwards. Then we can start working on fabricating and getting the fender flares and stuff molded into the bumper. And we will finally be close to having all the body parts on the build and finishing bodywork. Well, that's it. The front bumper is permanently attached. It has been panel bonded onto the fenders here. It's been bolted on and we built mounts that mounted it on. It ain't going nowhere. So now if we want to remove this stuff, it's a front clip. You remove the fenders, the front bumper, the headlight surrounds, it all comes off as one piece. So we're going to start molding everything together. This fender flare now needs to go into the bumper where it's supposed to meet up. And then we got a fender flare the other side and do the same thing. Well guys, it finally happened. We fell behind schedule. We were staying on schedule pretty good, and now it starts to feel like a SEMA build. We are a day and a half behind schedule with 3 days left. You guys, it is 1:30 a.m. We've sanded all damn day, and we still have to paint tonight, but that's for another episode. But the body is final. We did it. We pulled it off. Sometimes plan A, B, C, D, sometimes plan E actually works out. I know you guys are already typing in the comments what you think E is for. Stop it. Stop it right now. We built car's ready to be painted. It is 4 a.m. We had to do some somewhat stupid stuff. So here's the reason why. We have to start wrapping tomorrow. Paint has to be dry before we could start wrapping, which means that we got to start painting. The car's ready for it, but the location ain't so much. So here's what we did. We got these really cool EPA compliant fan filters, air filters. We put them on our two massive fans here. They're pulling the air through the filter and then just blowing it at the garage door. My biggest worry is that we have supercars on that back wall. I don't want to damage the paint on them with overspray. So I'm gonna have Kyle and Oscar stand right over there about 15 feet back from the car with no respirator on or anything. If they start smelling paint fumes and it smells like heavy like paint, we're gonna open the garage door, which then will risk dropping the temperature in here below painting temperature, which could make the paint not catalyze and screw up absolutely everything. But that would be our plan for aerating the area. But right now we're just gonna try and catch it all in those filters and hope it works. Game plan is to jump inside the car, paint the cage first, paint around the back window line, hop out, finish painting the back window line, and then I can start painting the back here. It's been completely wiped down, de-dustified, de-nibbed, wax and grease removered. It's ready. We got done painting at 5 a.m. technically this morning, and I've got some really good news and I've got some bad news. We'll start with the bad news. This paint was just one big example of why we don't paint cars before SEMA. We got paint reactions that caused fisheyes. In almost every single part that I painted, we got paint reaction that caused fisheyes, and this is from contamination on the panel. The wax and grease remover we used just did not do a good enough job to clean the panel. And it's gonna do the job that we wanted, which is to help the adhesion of the vinyl wrap and to have the right color within the jambs. So we're good there. We are, however, because it's not the right color, gonna do the door jambs and steel it black. It's a paint that comes out a nice satin color. I really like it. It's extremely durable. It's corrosion resistant. They also sent us a case for this build, so thanks to Steel It. I'll put a link in the description. That is kind of our default fallback on a lot of builds because it's just great stuff. Oscar's spraying it right now, actually. So door jambs are gonna be Steel It black rather than this, it's like a mocha color. I don't love it. So the job to do right now is to lightly sand with like 400 grit, anywhere that we got dust nibs in the paint to get those out so the vinyl wrap will not have any bumps underneath it. Painting the door jambs as well. And the other Transformation is about to begin. So Fred and his team from Rapco have arrived, and these guys are like our saving grace. I literally hit them up a day before I needed them to come out, and they're like, yep, we got time, we're gonna come out, we're gonna help you out, as they did last year on the white Mustang, which was pretty incredible too. Basically what happened is we were planning on wrapping this mostly ourselves, maybe calling in an expert like Fred for some of the hard stuff on the front end. And then in the last episode, when we realized that our bumper and our headlights around weren't coming at all, we had to kind of steal some time away from the schedule and get some professionals in here to do the wrap while we do other things at the same time. That's the only way we were gonna get this done in the right time frame. So thanks to Fred and his team over at Rapco. I'll put a link in the description. They are saving our ass, so they're gonna go ahead and get started wrapping this thing right now. It's gonna be a really fast change visually on the car, which is gonna be really awesome. While they're doing that, we're gonna start poking around at interior stuff and see what we can build. It's about 9 o'clock. The wrap crew is out of here, and so now it's time for us to really get cranking and do kind of like the night shift. Any work that we do when they're here, we can't be kicking up dust and stuff like that, or it risks getting stuck underneath the wrap, and that would be catastrophic. So it's time to do the heavy lifting, put in another long night. We did 5 a.m. last night. We'll see what we do tonight. It might have to be an all-nighter. Just finished the install of the Holley Intech cold air intake. So it goes through here, slides down here, gets fresh air from right here. This thing shows horsepower gains. I'll put the image right here on the screen. I think it's like over 20 horsepower and torque to the wheels, dyno proven. That is a really, really good boost. Now, we need to start working on the interior paneling. We've never done any of this before. This is reproduction OEM paneling for the 67 Fastback. We've notched it to fit around the roll cage and fit a seatbelt to run through there. This is kind of how the pieces come, and you can see that this one's like all super shiny, weird stamped plastic. This one has the same texture, but it's fiberglass, so it's not shiny. And I saw that problem coming, so I ordered some faux leather vinyl, basically. This has got a sticky back and a leather front, and we're gonna try and do an upholstery covering on all of these interior parts so they all match and look really, really nice. While we're doing that, Kyle's gonna jump in here and do one more part that we got from Holley. It's a Hurst short shifter. The first Mustang that we ever got, the first S550 Mustang that we ever got, had a Hurst short shifter on it, and it felt amazing, and I really, really liked it, so I wanted to have that in this build as well. So it was on my Holley wish list. There's one more Holley wish list item to come too. And so Kyle's gonna figure out, I'm sure it's gonna involve lifting out the center console and getting in there into the shifter dealies, but we'll get it about halfway done and show you what it looks like. Short shifters are usually pretty easy task. This one, not so much. Guys, if you think this is a, do it the night before SEMA project and it's just gonna take an hour, it's gonna take a little longer. To summarize, drop the exhaust, drop the transmission, drop the drive shaft. We'll probably drop the drive shaft, then drop the transmission, get on top of the transmission once it's dropped, and pull out the shifter mechanism.
It's not quite dropping it, it's
lowering it. So now that that's out, we can replace the shifting mechanism with this shorter throw shifting mechanism. It looks like we're gonna be replacing the bushing as well. That looks like that one right there, and some other stuff. And then we'll get it back in the car. Good job, Kyle. You guys saw us wrapping interior pieces. This stuff is awesome. I am gonna link it in the description. If you have weird interior projects at home that you wanna wrap in like a faux leather or anything like that, try this stuff out. I'm gonna link it in the description. It's just a cheap eBay option and it's pretty solid. I really, really like that. The other thing that we did, you saw, is wrapping some dash pieces. So this piece that goes right there and right there. This is like a bottom of the line trim option car, and it has this like stamped fake carbon fiber silver stuff that I didn't really like. And one hack that my first boss ever taught me, he had a nice 5 Series BMW, and he had taken all of his interior pieces off and had them paint matched to match the outside of the car, and they looked really, really nice. So we did that on this thing. I vinyl wrapped the dash pieces, and they actually look really, really nice. So they match the roll cage and they match the wrap on the outside of the car. So it's a nice little touch. Oscar's working on the end plates. Like we'd shown you guys, we had to trim a lot of stuff off of here, so you have to build a nice little plate, attach some trim, and get that stuff all nice and looking clean once again. But overall, the interior is, well, it's very apart, but it's gonna come back together real nice. Clock check, it's 3:37 in the morning. Interior pieces are done. Well, they're wrapped with leather. We can't start installing them because we got to do a scoop right here. And to do that, we have to bolt it down, and it bolts down right over there. Somehow this footage got missed in all the other episodes. Shout out to the company Be Quiet. They make this sound deadening for us. They provided us with a ton of sound deadening. It's super good stuff, and part of the reason this car sounds so good with no road noise. Huge thanks to Be Quiet. On the shifter, this thing is money. It looks the roll, it feels really good in the hand, and the shifts are short and snappy. So that is really nice. Next and final thing that we got from Holley. So we're really working on upgrading the interior a little bit as well, right? So it's cool that it is a 2019 interior in a classic car, but let's make it the best we can. So infotainment center will be last, but steering wheel is up next. So this steering wheel looks like that. Upgraded steering wheel looks like this. This thing is a piece of art. This thing's created by one of Holley's subsidiary companies, Drake Muscle Cars. It's got a really, really beautiful carbon fiber build out on the top. It's nice and meaty, so it's like, it really has a nice grip in the hand. It's got the nice stripe on the top for locating your top dead center, flat bottom, and then I opted for leather on the sides. Obviously, steering wheel, huge integral part for interacting with your vehicle and connecting with your vehicle when you're driving. Dollars and cents wise, like horsepower, probably cheapest mod is going to be cold air intake. Interior, this thing is definitely worth it. For all of these products, the cold air intake, short shifter, steering wheel, links are all going to be in the description if you guys want to check it out. So you can see side by side how much better it looks. It does look a little bit larger, which is interesting, and not really that possible because all the interior trim pieces, so I think that's optical illusion. So Kyle's gonna take the OEM steering wheel off and swap it all over to this guy. Kyle's got the new steering wheel in the car. It looks amazing. That is such a nice upgrade. So steering wheel, shift knob. Oscar's got the end caps on there, looking good. Now to finish out the dash, we need to upgrade the infotainment center. That was an interesting one. I saw a lot of brands selling stuff for around the $1,000 mark. $1,000, $700, a lot. And there's the eBay, Amazon stereo route. It was like 180 bucks. We're all about trying the budget version and seeing if it works out. So that's what I did. Bought the $189 version of an Android head unit. It's got an 8-inch screen and it's supposed to be able to handle everything that the car used to be able to handle. We're gonna give it a shot. I mean, what do we got to lose? Right now we don't even have speakers in this thing. So Oscar's gonna go ahead and install that new infotainment center because that will allow him to finish out the dashboard. Ooh, fighter jets. Kyle's gonna be working I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's some fighter jets flying overhead. But Kyle's gonna be working on the headlights. Bucket's gotta be modified to make more room for our headlight to go through. We've retrofitted some older headlights that took a normal bulb with an LED bulb. These also have a blinker built into them, which is really handy for our application. I was gonna go with black. We have a set of black headlights available too, but I'm thinking this is gonna look better because we still have some chrome on the car, on the door and the mirror, side mirror, and the door handles is chrome. So I think that light color is gonna match nicely. So we're gonna go with these, but we have black as a backup option as well. Yo, who would have thought that buying the $190 version of the screen might have some issues, some problems? Yeah. Maybe there's a reason that they cost $700. So here's the deal. This is the backside of the screen. And by the way, the eBay seller verified that this is the correct application for the car like 1,000,000 times. They made me send the VIN number in before they'd sell it to me. Here's the circuit board. It's got the buttons on it and stuff like that. It lines up right like this. And the circuit board and the screen are heavily interfering with each other. Like, there's no way both of these things are going to live in the car. The buttons cannot make it out there. It hits the screen. Now, so there are two different button-filled keypads that obviously wouldn't be used if we switched over to the screen. So here's the slightly ridiculous thought that's coming through our heads right now. I mean, probably better to break it trying to make it work than go to SEMA without having it work. I think, I don't know. 1,000-mile drive without a radio is going to be tough. But so what we're thinking here is cut the keypad circuit board off on each side. We'll cut it off. There's not that many little circuits on the board running to it. It doesn't look like there's any processors. It should be okay. So we're gonna grab the cutoff wheel. We're gonna cut these off so it can fit in there with the screen. And we're gonna hope that when we go to power this thing back on, that it actually functions. If not, it'll just be an impressive looking screen with a totally dead stereo behind it. If this is the sketchiest thing we do on our SEMA build, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. This wrap looks absolutely amazing. Nosatech makes some incredible product. The wrap is nice and thick too, so it does a good job of hiding our body imperfections from all our custom body work. I'm so happy right now with how this is turning out. And the interior looks great as well. I guess on the way over there, I'll show you some of the body. So we got the doors done, front bumper is being worked on. It's almost done. We got the front centerpiece is getting done. That's all a work in progress, but damn, it looks good. This door's done, rear quarter's done. Scoops are all done, they're ready to go. So when we jump in here, we've got the new infotainment center, and we test powered it on, and it does power on, but we don't have any speakers. So the classic cars, classic cars just didn't have a lot of speaker locations. It was kind of weird. So we don't have one for the door. You can't really put one in the door unless it has a huge bulge out. But the stock one has speaker wires that run back there, and there's wires that run to the door. Our game plan is to redirect some wires to run a 4-inch here in this piece of trim, same down on the other side, and then in the rear quarter interior paneling, we're gonna put some 6-inchers, one there and one there. So we ran to the store, we bought the speakers. Oscar's gonna go ahead and get those now into the paneling, and then we'll run some wires and test our stereo out. The wrap team has left the building. I'm so happy with the job that they did. Huge shout out to Wrapco. They not only saved us by getting us back on track, so it's not gonna be, hopefully not gonna be too crazy of a night to get to the finish line on this, but they did a great job. And also, shout out to Inositech. This wrap is so cool. So from far back, the car looks very black. As you get a little bit closer, the light starts bouncing this kind of a little bit more brassy color that I really, really like. It adds a lot of dimension to it, has great shine, and it's just epic. So huge thanks to Inositech. There's gonna be a link in the description. They provided this wrap to us. I really hope we can work together in the future, and maybe we'll do another color on this car a little bit later. Check out their website too. They have a lot of really, really cool colors that are super unique. Oscar's got the speakers in those interior quarter panels. We went ahead and mounted some scoopage, and Kyle's been working on hot wiring the headlights. So we steal the modern headlight wiring bundle, identify which wire it is, and then transfer it over to a classic 70s headlight. Well, these are actually made 60s. Well, they're made recently, but they're a 60s model. So we're gonna be testing those out in a second. Right now, we're gonna pop the hood off, put power to the car, turn on our stereo, and see what that does. This thing's cool, man. This is like super modern. Let's see, let's just try the radio. Oh, everything's gonna be copyrighted. We've got static. Static is not copyrighted. Just soaking in that sweet, sweet copyright-free static. I'm digging it. It's kind of got a heavy metal tone to it.
This is oldie static.
Oh, you think this is old? This is classic static?
Yeah, it's classic static.
It whomps pretty hard. It could be dubstep. We're not sure. Stereo works. If you want to see all the silly stuff we get up to with that, make sure you tune in for the next episode when we try and drive this thing to SEMA. That's it for the upgrades on the interior. So we got the steering wheel, the short shifter, the new stereo, and we wrapped that dash piece, both the dash pieces, to match the exterior of the car. I love it. Now the rest of the stuff has got to be more classic Cowl. So we're working on the headliner. We're working on the paneling that goes back. We're working around the trunk separation unit, and we need flooring. It's a lot of stuff for Oscar to do, but he's ready for the challenge. Trying to get everybody pumped up because we're realizing at this point, it's gonna be a late night. This is our last day. We gotta have this thing done. I gotta drive it 1,000 miles as soon as we are done. So let's get to it. Kyle's going to get headlights in the car wired up. Oscar's gonna continue working on interior. I'm gonna finish wrapping the back end. The guys ran out of time, so I'm gonna finish wrapping this stuff up. I think I can handle 2 panels. Ready, set, go. Kyle's got the headlights in with the headlights and the blinkers all plumbed in. Plumbed? Yeah, you can plumb electrical, right? Go ahead and give us some headlight action. There we go. That's our headlights. Nice clear color. And then like, how about the left blinker? And there's our blinker. And right blinker. So we got blinkers, we got headlights, we got high beams, we got low beams. Kyle's gonna go ahead and set up a piece of cardboard and start leveling these things out, and then we gotta put the headlight rings in there, and that finishes off the headlight area. Oscar's got the interior woodage rocking and rolling. Now the next step for this is, now that we've got it built, it's gonna be covered in felt. So we run down to the fabric store, get some felt. We got the 3M Spray 90. It's like a spray adhesive glue. We'll glue the hell out of this thing. Once it gets tacky, you throw your felt on there, and that has worked for us very well in the past. Back here, I did manage to wrap a couple panels. So we got the panels on there, we got the gas cap on there. I'm gonna go ahead and get the tail lights in so I can start working on fixing the tail lights. How are we doing on time? Is a question I frequently ask myself. It's 1:30 a.m. I do have to go to sleep at some point tonight so I can be able to drive tomorrow, because we got to start getting on the road tomorrow. Well, today, later today. The list is large, but if things fall in our direction, it'll go fast. If not, it'll be a weird one. Happy 3 a.m. in the morning. We need to leave for SEMA, everybody. Let's give you an update on what's been going on. Kyle got the headlights in, the headlight surrounds in. Those are going great. Kyle got the grills in. I tested out a very small grill emblem that was comically small. So we took the other grill emblem that we have no way of attaching right now, that I'm going to need to 3D print something. We'll put it in the glove box. I'm going to temporarily install it at SEMA, and then when we get home, I'll 3D print something. Got the hood pin safety cables connected up to the car, so we're ready for the hood to start going on and stuff like that. Oscar's been working very hard on the interior. Now you're going to see that we have some silver exposed rivets. Those are going to be black in the long run, but due to the time constraints, what we're dealing with, it's time to start pushing some stuff off till we get to SEMA. Because we get to SEMA and we load in on a Saturday, and the show doesn't start till a Tuesday, which is, by my calculations, a hell of a lot more time than we have right now. So easy things like that we're gonna push over till when we're at SEMA. But the interior is looking great, and he got the felt on the wood, and that piece is in there. The other piece is right there. I went ahead and fixed the taillights like everybody requested by diffusing them. They are blinking on the camera. That is a refresh rate thing. And I guess, you know what? On the camera, you can still see a bit of a dive down. In real life, you cannot see that. So that's just a difference between the camera's refresh rate and some other stuff. Anyways, I took that comically small emblem and I put it right over our rear view camera hole. Our new stereo isn't compatible with our old rear view camera. Long run, rear view camera will get 3D printed, shoved in there. But that's a nice back end. And then I put some trunk stuff from the S550 Mustang in here. You know, on the edges, it's a little cut up, but I thought it was nice. It was a nice little touch. I just threw it in there. It only took about 10 minutes to cut up. So I threw that stuff in there, and we've got a good looking back end going on here. So we got Kyle right now wrapping the last piece of the interior in our really awesome fake leather vinyl stuff. And Oscar's jumping into the world of the door cards and the door open and close thingy, latch, and then the window winder. Finishing out the doors. It's 6 a.m. We are absolutely delirious. We are tired. We're slowing down, but we're so close to being ready to drive. The unfortunate part is I haven't slept in like a long time, so I'm gonna need a nap before I can drive, but let's not worry about that. We need to get the car down now. We're gonna start looking at things like glass. We got the back interior all buttoned up. It's dirty, but other than that, it's buttoned up. Well, there's some small holes. We got the headliner in, we got the door cards in. Door cards look great. We got our handles in. This is how you open the door. This is your window winder. That's the headliner going back into our interior. Great job by the team to whip that all together. It actually looks like a complete car, which is pretty impressive considering that it's a total body swap. Now we need to get it down so we can start working on glass and hood stuff. So it's time to get the wheels and tires on. We have never seen them on this build. We went with the decograms in the bronze, I think is what we're calling that. Let's get them on the car, see how it looks. I'm excited to see the car on the ground too for the first time with paint, wrap, color. I personally think it's a pretty cool improvement on the wheels. Now, we're under really intense lighting here, which really hits the metallic flake within the paint. So the paint is really popping a lot of bronze. Well guys, we got the wheels on the car and we set it down, and we're just feeling like it's too much bronze. So this vinyl wrap has a lot of depth to it. It's great, but the metal flake in here is a bronzy, golden-ish bounce of light, and that, when there's a lot of the car in direct sunlight, like kind of like what we have emulating here, it just makes the bronze on bronze look like too much. You need something to break it up. And so now we're into the titanium, and I think it's a good complement to the other chrome pieces that are on the car. Third wheel change is a charm. We don't have a tire machine here, so we have to go to a wheel and tire shop in 2 hours at 8:30 a.m. when they are open. So we're gonna try and get the rest of the car ready and then do that first thing when they open and beg them to swap the tires out. And then we gotta have to probably adjust the suspension a little bit. This has a more aggressive offset, so we might adjust the suspension a little bit to make sure that we don't have a real sketchy 1,000-mile road trip. And that's the game plan. So now we need to carry on. Kyle and I are gonna work on the back glass. Oscar's gonna work on getting the hood finalized. I think that's the big list. I think we got a hood and 2 pieces of glass. Let's get going. It's 9:30 a.m., quick little update. We're all losing it. We always do a big push towards the end of the year, do a SEMA build, and I don't try and build stuff up like, are we gonna make it, are we not, whatever. We know we're gonna make it. It's how much pain are we gonna go through, and that's supposed to be the entertaining part. So, just wanna let you know, it's painful right now. It's not just like, oh, one night, you know, working overnight. It's like 2 hours of sleep last night, 3 hours of sleep the night before, 4 hours of sleep the night before that. And it's all at different times. Like we went to bed at 5 last night. I don't know. I can't even keep track anymore. But it's aggressive, but luckily it's the last day. But we are on the very, very last pieces of to-do work. Oscar's getting the weather stripping in. Look at this weather stripping. This is super cool. We mixed and matched stuff from 2019 Mustang and kits that we have for the 67 Mustang Fastback. And we got a shit ton of weather stripping around here, which is going to be really good because these windows are notoriously bad at sealing up there. And there's a lot of wind noise and different stuff like that. And this is going to be great for the long distance drive and everything to have a really good seal. It's gonna be super helpful, make it a lot less drafty. We tried the back glass rubber gasket thing, and it's just like, our hole is exactly the right size. I'll tell you that much. Our hole is the size that it's supposed to be. But other than that, we just could not make it work. We suck at those things. Oscar and I have only pulled it off once on his Mustang. So we're taping, we're masking off, we're painting primer around the outsides of the windshield and the back glass to get ready to glue them in. So that stuff, the back glass is under a heat lamp right now, drying up. This is about to get painted, and then it'll go heat lamp as well. And then we're gonna glue these things in, and then I'm sure the list will somehow magically grow. Wheels and tires are off at the wheel and tire shop. Hopefully we get them back soon. It's the final countdown. We've got the glass in. We're working on our molding, our trim for the glass. We've got the windshield wipers in. We've got other stuff done. It's 2 p.m. at this point. I've got 1 hour of sleep, so I'm ready to hit the road. Wheels and tires are back. I'm hoping we made the right decision on this. What we're doing right now is adjusting the suspension, raising it up a little bit because it was too low on the other wheels anyway, so we're gonna raise it up just a touch, make sure that, because I gotta do over 1,000-mile road trip in this car. I don't wanna be scraping the whole way. So we're gonna raise it up just a touch, and then we'll test fit these new wheels and see how they look. First time seeing it on the ground on the new wheels, and I'm really, really glad we made this choice. They look good on the car, and the different tone of color I think really helps both the paint and the wheels themselves. I'm finally very, very happy with the wheel selection now. Huge thanks to Koenig for sending us 4 sets of wheels and 4 other trial wheels. That's epic of them, and it allowed us to do this last minute change to run the wheels that I was super happy with. So in the next episode, I will be road tripping this vehicle. Chelsea and I will be road tripping this vehicle over 1,000 miles to SEMA. I really hope we make it. I hope we make it drama free, but you'll have to see in the next episode. Make sure you subscribe so you see that. Thank you so much for all the support, watching all these videos of this crazy build and the fun time that we had making this thing become a reality over the last month. We appreciate it so much. We'll see you on the next one. Peace!